Start this presentation off. Um, I want y'all to please drink a lot of water. It's hot out there today, super hot. It's supposed to be in 100 degrees, man. 97 already. I'm sweating like a motherfucker. I ain't gonna hold you. But let me talk about this Knicks win. So, you know, I've been a Spurs fan for a long time. I love the Spurs. You know what I'm saying? Tim Duncan was one of my favorite players of all time. Huge Greg Popovich fan. But I always had a love and affinity for the Knicks. Knicks is like maybe in my top five teams in the NBA. Knicks is like up there. So I told people, and I said this to people, I said the Knicks was gonna go all the way, like before we got to the series. I told people this, and I said this to people. I said, the Knicks is gonna win the series. Everybody was saying OKC. Salute, 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 City Beamer. Everybody was saying OKC. Everybody was saying, the Spurs. Some people were saying um Cleveland. Everybody was saying all these other teams. And I was like, nah, man, it's the Knicks. I said last year they was very close in getting in there. I said this year is gonna be the year that the Knicks get back. And I always one thing about me when you watch basketball and you watch it, you a student of the game, there's always a team that's been in a drought. The Lakers, if you remember, the Lakers was in a drought from what the last time they won was 89. So they was in a drought from 89 all the way till they won they championship with Kobe and Shaq, which was in 2000, right? That's one thing about the NBA. If a team been in a drought for decades and they finally overcome and they get the right team, you're gonna see the right pieces moving. The Knicks, I done seen from the Larry Johnson era to the Patrick Ewing era to the Stephon Marbury era to the Melo, Maury Stoudemire era. I done seen so many eras of the Knicks that this team with Bronson and Cat, you know, and I'm gonna keep it real, right? Who would have thought Carl Anthony Towns? You know, no, I don't think they're gonna be embarrassed in the worst way. I don't think so. I think you have to look at it like this. I'm a follower of basketball. So if you watch last year, they won the cup, right? I don't know if you saw the cup last year that they had when they played against the Spurs. They won the cup last year, right? And when they won the cup last year, the Knicks, I said to somebody, I said, yo, they won the cup, they gonna win the fucking NBA finals. Just off of the strength. And then seeing what Mike Brown did. See, the Knicks, and this is all, and it goes back to every coach they done had, from Pat Riley to Jeff Van Gundy to even what's my dude? What's my dude, man? Um he used to coach for Kentucky. What's my dude name? Because he was the coach of the Knicks. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Somebody put it in the chat. He used to coach for Kentucky. Patino, Rick Pitino. So it go from Rick Pitino, Pat Riley, Van Gundy, and even to when Isaiah Thomas was there, to Mike Woodson, to Phil Jackson. The Knicks done had so many, and Mike D'Antoni. The Knicks done had so many coaches, right? And they never had that one coach. And even, they had Thibodeau last year, right? So the Knicks had so many great coaches, but Mike Brown brought I would say, a system that worked so well for the Golden State Warriors, that worked so well for the Spurs, because you got to look. Mike Brown was the assistant coach of Greg Popovich. A lot of people keep forgetting that. He was assistant coach for Greg Popovich. So he understands the system of the Spurs. That's why they've been so effective, because Mike Brown was there when they won against the Lakers in 2003. Mike Brown was the coach. Y'all remember, he was the assistant coach at the time. You understand what I'm saying? So he already knows how to win in that system because he's been in that Western Conference system. You understand what I'm saying? So It wouldn't work for when he was on Cleveland with LeBron because LeBron is not an offense type of player. He's an ISO player. So when you're an isolation player, you're not gonna work good on Princeton offense or triangle offense. That's why when Phil Jackson was there and Melo had a issue with Phil Jackson because Phil Jackson, the system that Phil Jackson was trying to push, Melo's not that type of player to be effective for that system. So that's why it never worked, right? But with a Bronson, with a Carl Anthony Towns, with the squad that they have, the system is going to be effective. Yo, y'all ain't got to time nobody out, man. You don't got to time nobody out. So I'm happy for the Knicks that they have the right squad because, like I said, when the Knicks came and no, yo, Ahmed, you don't have to hold on, bro. You don't gotta time nobody out. Chill with the timing out, bro. Chill with that. You ain't gotta do all that. Um, when the Knicks was in their best prime, right? In my opinion, the best era of the Knicks, in my opinion, was the Patrick Ewing era, right? And Patrick Ewing did it with every player you could name, right? The Ross Stricklands, the Mark Jacksons. Shout out to the Bernard King. I saw Bernard King there. Shout out to Bernard King. You know, shout out to Ross Strickland because we gotta give shout outs to all the original Knicks that was there in the beginning. You know, yo, bro, yo, chill with all that, bro. Chill with all that, please. I mean, chill with all that, bro. We gotta yeah, it was a good game. So we gotta give credit to the legends of the Knicks. Like I said, the Charles Oakleys, the Xavier McDaniels, the John Stocks, um, the Doc Rivers. We definitely gotta give a big shout out to um Anthony Mason, RIP, Willis Reed, Earl of Pearl Monroe, Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, you know, Marcus Camby, Chris Childs, you know, all the Knicks that came for this Knicks, because all the Knicks that before this Knicks squad, everybody had to crawl before they walk. You understand what I'm saying? So Patrick, I'm gonna be honest with you, Patrick, with the '94 Knicks, yeah, that's a fact. They didn't get a ring, and I'm keeping it real. The Knicks had the best ballers on that squad, if y'all really know, because you had Dominique Wilkins' brother that played with the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? You had, Mark Jackson that played with the Knicks, got drafted by the Knicks and played with the Knicks. You had Ross Strickland that played with the Knicks. You understand? That got drafted and played with the Knicks. You had Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, you know what I'm saying? Doc Rivers. You had so many great players that played with the Knicks. You understand what I'm saying? But they, like you said, they didn't get a ring. You had Bernard King. That was before Patrick, it was Bernard King's team. You know what I'm saying? Before him, it was Walt Clyde Frazier's team. You understand what I'm saying? So, the Knicks really had a lot of players that should have got rings and they didn't. But I always say the worst thing that ever happened to the Knicks franchise, in my opinion, was when they let go Latrell Sprewell and they destroyed that team, man. They destroyed that team. When they let go Latrell that year, I remember when they let go him and they got and I'm gonna keep it real. I love Stephon Marbury, but Marbury didn't need to be on that Knicks squad. You know what I'm saying? Because he gave him and Isaiah Thomas didn't mesh, and he's a player that he needs to be with a player like. Yeah, the Bulls. No, but the Bulls didn't stop them because if you remember, the Bulls, when Jordan left in 93, from 93, 94, 95, 94, so I would say from 94 to 95, the Knicks was in the conversation in the NBA. You got to remember they played the Houston Rockets, but the OJ, him driving the Bronco fucked that whole game up, and the Knicks lost. Right? Let's just keep it real. They lost that year. Spike was tight, and then you had Reggie Miller. Y'all keep forgetting. Y'all had Mr. Reggie Miller that was giving him a hard time, but we got over that hurdle with Reggie because the Knicks beat Reggie in '99. Larry Johnson with the 40 points. But when they played against the Spurs, and that Spurs squad was that Spurs squad was fire. You had David Robinson, Vinny Del Negro. Who was on that team? Tim Duncan, the young Tim Duncan. What's my boy? My boy that played with um he played with the Pistons, and then he went to the Spurs. What the fuck is his name, man? Light skinned dude, man. Fuck was his name, son? Michael Finley was over there, but what was his name, son? He played with the Pistons, but he went to the Spurs. Oh fuck, my nigga. And that year that the Spurs played the Knicks, they had just came out of the lockout. Y'all remember the lockout? So that was the shortest season in the NBA that year. That '99 season was a very short season. That was actually, I think they started back in like April, and then they went to the NBA series into like what is it, like around May. So that was like the shortest NBA season there was. And that's when Mike had retired like I think February of '99, January or February of '99. And and then the Bulls was it was over for the Bulls after that. Cause I think Phil Jackson, he coached one last year and then he left out of there. You know what I'm saying? And yep. McAdoo, Bob McAdoo, that's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. But that was like that lockout year really killed that '98 '99 season because that was the shortest season that year. So they really didn't and the Knicks, they just was on fire because they just had got rid of Oakley. Because I think Oakley had got to Toronto. They drafted him to Toronto. And I think John Starks still with them or John, they had just got rid of John Starks. Because I know they got rid of Oakley that year. And I know John Starks was gone. I know it was Marcus Camby on that team. I know Allen Houston. I know Latrell Sprewell and Patrick. Patrick had got hurt. Patrick was on the bench. Patrick was on the bench. And then Larry Johnson had got hurt. And that's how they really lost that NBA finals that year. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I tell people, like all these people going crazy. And a lot of these people don't really be real Knicks fans. Like a lot of them, they wasn't riding with the Knicks from like I've been riding with the Knicks. Don't get it twisted. Like I said, Spurs was always my squad. I always had a thing for the Lakers because I was a big Kobe and Shaq fan. So I always respected what they did at that time. And then the Sixers was my squad because I loved AI. AI was my dude. You know what I'm saying? And then, when Chris Webber left the Bullets and he went to Sacramento, I was riding with that Sacramento squad. But always had respect for the Knicks squad. Even when they was losing, I still always said that because people used to say the Knicks, yeah, he couldn't play that. He was hurt that year. He was hurt that year. Patrick was on the bench. He was on the bench. But you know what's so crazy about the Knicks and like I said with the fan base now, right? A lot of these niggas that you see going crazy, they not really real Knicks fans. They can't tell you like when the last time the Knicks was in the playoffs. Yo, who was the last coaches? Like you saw, I named you all of the coaches of the Knicks, from Rick Pitino to Pat Riley, because Rick Pitino was right, because Rick Pitino was they coach from when Mark Jackson them. So he was the coach from '87 to I think from '91. Then he went back to college. Pat Riley came in 91. That's when they was the bad boy Knicks. And then you got Jeff Van Gundy, who was the assistant coach, because a lot of people don't know that Van Gundy was an assistant coach that became the head coach, right? Nobody, you have never heard people when people be talking about, oh, I fuck with the Knicks, I fuck with. Then name me players that was on the Knicks. Name me the coaches of the Knicks. Don't jump the bandwagon of the Knicks because you see the Knicks winning. Like when I told niggas, like nobody believed me this year when I said, yo, the Knicks gonna do it this year. Everybody's like, yo, you tripping, you bugging. The Knicks ain't gonna do it. What you mean? Yo, the Knicks be disappointing. They lost last year. They ain't gonna do it. I'm like, no, man, you didn't see how they set it off. They set it off with the cup. See, the cup was the prequel to the sequel, which is the NBA Finals. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. I'm gonna put this in. I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna put this in the universe. I think when the Knicks win this, the Knicks is going to continue to keep climbing. I think the Knicks is going to be the new NBA dynasty in the NBA. And why? Because New York is the biggest city. Yeah, my bad. So what I was getting ready to say, the fuck I was saying again. Oh yeah. So they started it off with the cup. The NBA is looking at a team, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. The NBA is looking for a squad that's going to, how you say, bring the money in. They need a squad. See, Golden State Warriors was the face of the NBA because, you know, Golden State was in uh Silicon Valley, right? That's the biggest technology capital. You know, the Lakers is is out of here. The Lakers is finished. LeBron, he shitted on the whole Lakers franchise. So the New York Knicks franchise is like the last franchise that has a history. All right. What do you mean start fronting? I never said it. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, Super. I've said this before. You don't listen to anything. I've said this on my channel before about the Knicks. Y'all don't listen to me anytime I be talking. What did I say? Said the Knicks is in my top five teams. They always been in my top five teams. I roll with the Knicks when they had shitty ass players on it. When they got Melo, before they got Melo, they just had Amari Stoudemire. I think what was it, Nate Robinson was over there. I was riding with the Knicks. And they had Al Harrington. You know what I'm saying? So I never had a problem with the Knicks. I never had a problem with the Knicks back then or now. That's why I said when niggas say they fuck with the Knicks, name me the top five coaches that the Knicks had each era. A nigga can't name you the top five coaches that they had on each era. I just named you Rick Pitino, Pat Riley, Jeff Van Gundy. And like I said, Jeff Van Gundy was the assistant coach for Pat Riley. And he was there when Pitino was there. Because Pitino could, to be technical, Rick Pitino was the one, because people give Pat Riley so much credit. Pat Riley didn't help out that Knicks that Knicks system. So when Pat Riley came there, the Knicks was already they already had a team and they already was playing in unison. What Pat Riley did was give them polish. You understand what I'm saying? He gave them polish. So when he gave them, okay, I'm gonna play y'all like the East Coast version of the Showtime Lakers, and that's what he did. He had the Knicks playing like the East Coast version of the Showtime Lakers. This is facts. But the problem was Pat Riley didn't stay. They could have won. If he would have stayed, they would have won a championship with Pat Riley. But Pat Riley left and he took the job with the Miami Heat. But if Pat Riley would have stayed, they would have got a championship. Because the system that Pat Riley had wasn't a bad system. And with the players that he had, Charles Oakley, the enforcer, my boy Anthony Mason, John Starks. You understand what I'm saying? They had X-Men, Xavier McDaniels over there. You understand what I'm saying? They had some players. Doc Rivers. They had players. They had soft ass Charles Smith over there. Soft ass Charles Smith. Doug Christie. They had a team. They had a team. But like I said, Pat Riley went to Miami. Jeff Van Gundy took over. Van Gundy did what he did for what he could use for. Nah, I never clowned the late '90s Knicks. I think the mid to late '90s Knicks was the best Knicks, if you ask me. Because after the mid to late '90s, early 2000s Knicks, the Knicks went downhill. They didn't go back and forth to the championships. They was getting them smiling. But when they had Patrick Ewing, Larry Johnson, and they had some hitters, they had a squad. The Knicks now don't got nothing, man. Yeah, he went to Pat Riley. Pat Riley got a bigger position with Miami. The Knicks organization didn't give him what Miami gave him. Miami didn't give him a front office position and gave him a GM position and gave him a coaching position. So Pat Riley did looked at it like I'm gonna get a bag. You know what I'm saying? Even though Pat Riley is what the Knicks really needed. They needed a coach like Pat Riley. No, the Knicks, no, Supra. The Knicks was never a trash squad. The problem with the Knicks was always the players. They never had a player, and I'm gonna keep it real with you, right? The Knicks' biggest problem, like after Patrick Ewing left and went to Seattle, because Patrick Ewing, when they lost, Patrick Ewing the next year went to Seattle Sonics, right? So when Patrick Ewing went to the Seattle Sonics, the Knicks just kept going downhill. You know what I'm saying? They had the Chris Childs over there. They had the Marcus Kimby. Marcus Kimby was cool. You know what I'm saying? Allen Houston was cool. But I still never understood why the Knicks kept playing. And it's the thing that I don't understand about the Knicks organization with James Dolan. I didn't understand why they kept paying Allen Houston after Allen Houston stopped playing for them. They continue to keep paying that nigga. I'm like, yo, why y'all still paying that nigga? Like, he had left them and all that, but they still was paying Allen Houston all them years, you know. But they had a great squad. Latrell Sprewell was that nigga, man. Latrell coming off of choking out motherfucking PJ, you know what I'm saying? Leaving the fucking Golden State Warriors, coming over the fucking the Knicks and doing motherfucking damage. So I never one thing about me, I never looked at the Knicks as never being a horrible team. The Knicks just needed the right pieces and they needed the right season. They needed the right motherfucking system for that organization. Like when they got Phil Jackson over there, Phil Jackson didn't have the right pieces to make that triangle offense system work. See, all Mike Brown is doing, right, is that he's using the Princeton offense. And that system is good for the Knicks. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what people gotta understand. You know, it's not that many. It's not that many players that could play under the Princeton offense. Well, Melo was never going to be a champion. He was never going to be a. He was never going to be a champion, or he was never going to be a what you call a team player. Melo was an individualist. You know, Melo comes out of that ISO. You gotta understand, he played under George Carl, right? George Carl is a great coach, but George Carl's system and Melo's way of playing was never going to work. You know what I'm saying? It was never going to work. So it's the same thing with like with LeBron, like his system, like the way he plays with certain teams, he can't play on. That's why he always get rid of coaches because he is not a player that works for an offense. A lot of players is not good for offensive systems. A lot of players don't want to compromise their games. When you play in an offensive system, you have to compromise your game. You know what made the Chicago Bulls so great is they compromised their game. You know, and a lot of players don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of players don't want to do that. A lot of players feel like I'm good with the ISO game that I'm playing, and that's it. And Melo wasn't in his feelings about the love that Jeremy Lin was getting. The Knicks that year could have been in the conversation. But the reason why the Knicks didn't fail in 2013 and 2012, because it was a lot of egos. A lot of chefs was in the kitchen. Mike Woodson had his problem with them because they didn't want to work. And you got to look, you got a Knicks squad that's all hurt. Tyson Chandler was injured. You know what I'm saying? Melo was injured. Amari Stoudemire is injured. So you working with just role players. You working with veterans. You got Kenyon Martin. You got Jason Kidd. You working with veterans and role players. And, you know, Knicks didn't have a chance. The squad they got now, they got a chance. They got a young team. They got young veterans and they work and dudes is compromising their game to get to the championship. So that's why Knicks is so good right now. Yeah, I remember that. We talking about when they played the Pacers? Yeah, he liked the J.R. Smith and he liked the um um um, um Iman Shumpert. Because those are the players that he played. Because you got to remember that Knicks squad was hurt. You got Iman Shumpert, you got Jeremy Lin, you know, you got all these players that they working with, and they need players that's gonna come off the bench. You know what I'm saying? But that was a crazy time, man, for the Knicks. Yeah, that's a fact. They was friends. Mm, I don't know, man. But you know, I feel like if the Knicks play a certain way, they can win. If they keep playing the system that they playing, you know, that was a good squad with Derrick Rose. That was a good squad. But again, system is important. Chemistry is important. Well, that squad they had Christoph Porzingis and they had Tim Hardaway Jr. That squad didn't work, man, because there was no chemistry there. There was no chemistry there. That was a good squad. That was a good squad. They was entertaining, with Christoph Porzingis and them, but there was no chemistry there. There was no chemistry. You know, there was too many Indians, not enough Chiefs. You know, I ain't gonna lie. Robinson and Randall was weak. They wasn't good. Robinson or Randall wasn't good. They wasn't good. You know, it wasn't. It wasn't good. A lot of they was just putting dudes. They was taking dudes and putting them on the court, and they wasn't ready, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to use your pieces that's ready. You know? The squad the Knicks got right now is ready, bro. You know what I'm saying? They ready. You know, they just had. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ewing was suspended. That's why they lost. That's why they lost that game against um Houston Rockets, and they lost in the Garden. That's the crazy thing. And I still remember that speech. My man said, he said, never underestimate the heart of a champion. Yo, that speech is one of the illest speeches ever because nobody thought that Hakeem Olajuwon was going to win that year against the Knicks. Knicks was the favorite, but I think with the whole thing with the Bronco case, and then Ewing being suspended, kind of like hurt them their chances that year because they really had a good squad. Hear me now. Can y'all hear me now? Let me know. Let me know. Like the Cameron record. Let me know. Let me know if y'all can hear me now. Let me know if y'all can hear me now, cause I don't know what happened. I went out. I had to come back in. So let me say this, right? Because I want to finish talking about with the Knicks. But let me just say this, right? All right, you hear me? Okay, back. All right, so let me get back to what I was saying again. So the Knicks organization, they had a hard. Like I'm gonna keep it real with you. James Dolan is a cheat motherfucker. I think, and the only reason why he's spinning that bag now is because he's seeing that I got a squad and I need these pieces. You understand what I'm saying? The Spurs, like I said, the Spurs squad is not the Spurs squad of Greg Popovich, man. Greg Popovich had a squad of killers. You hear me? And when I say killers, I mean his plays was lethal. From Robert Horry to Brent Berry to Tony Parker to David Robinson, and Tim Duncan, you name it, Pop had them killers on that squad, right? As the new thing, yeah, the Spurs squad was ill back then. Super. They was the Spurs squad in the 90s. I say from the 90s all the way to the 2010s, the early 2010s, the mid 2010s, the Spurs had the best squad in the NBA. Hands down. That's why they got 5 rings. Because they had the best NBA squad, hands down. It was the Lakers, it was the Spurs, the Boston Celtics was always in that conversation. Paul Pierce just needed the right pieces around him. And when he got the Sam Cassells over there and the Kevin Garnett and the Paul Pierce and the Rajon Rondos and Big Perk and Big Baby, that's when you started seeing that squad flourishing. But before then, you know, Paul Pierce always had his issues. But the Celtics was always in the conversation because they had Eric Williams, they had Kenny Anderson, you know what I'm saying? They had some motherfuckers, but they just didn't have the right pieces. And Doc, in my opinion, the only reason why Doc won and Doc has never done it again because he had the right pieces around him. When you got a Kevin Garnett that dedicated his motherfucking championship win to RIP Malik Sealy that year. You understand what I'm saying? That's why the Celtics won. You understand what I'm saying? Once Doc did that bullshit when they played against the Lakers and he took Ray Allen out for for Rondo, he fucked up that whole legacy and that chemistry of the Celtics. We had good players, but the coaching just wasn't designed to highlight. No, the coaching, super, the coaching, the problem with the coaching with the Knicks was that they had players that couldn't fit to a certain system. So I'll give you a perfect example, right? Salute, salute, peace, peace, big dog. I'll give you a perfect example, right? When Stephon Marbury came to the Knicks, right? If you remember, right? Isaiah Thomas was the coach. So at that time, you had what you had. You had David Lee, Nate Robinson, Stephon Marbury. Who else was over there? It was man heads over there. I think Kemby was still over there. I'm not even sure. Was Kemby still over there? I think he was, right? So you had that squad, right? The thing was, Stephon Marbury is an individual player. He's not going to play. This is a dude that just came off of playing for. Yeah, smash that like button. Appreciate that. This is a dude that just came off of playing for the Phoenix Suns, right? He was on the New Jersey Nets, and that shit they couldn't get that shit right over there. Stephon Marbury, I say his best years was on the Timberwolves. That was Stephon Marbury best years was on the Timberwolves. When he went to New Jersey, when he went to fucking Phoenix, and he didn't even last that long on Phoenix because he played the 03-04 season, and then he was on the Knicks. He was by the 04-05 season, he was with the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's like they was using an old playbook for a new generation. No, the problem was they just needed the right players to understand that system. See, you see, like, okay, look at Bronson and Carl Anthony Towns, right? The reason why that system is working the way it's working, and the reason why they work so well together, because that's a young team and they not veterans, right? And they not used to. You gotta understand, right? Stephon Marbury had just came off of playing for different coaches, right? And the systems that he played for and the system that he was under, it didn't like Isaiah Thomas' system didn't work for a Stephon Marbury. That's why he didn't last. That's why him and Isaiah kept clashing, and then Isaiah Thomas fucked around, got in a scandal with the female coach, and then that really killed his career in New York, and then that killed his coaching career actually, you know. So that's what happened with that, right? But when they had Jeff Van Gundy worked for Patrick. That's why if you really look back in the 90s, the Knicks kept staying. If they got eliminated, they always was like they got eliminated maybe in the first the second round or the third round of the series. They never got eliminated in the first round. They always went into like the third or fourth round, right? And in 99, like I said, they got into the finals. But you gotta hurt Larry Johnson and you gotta hurt Patrick Ewing. You can't win with a hurt with two of the biggest stars on your team that's hurt. You know what I'm saying? Larry Johnson was dogging. That nigga shot 40 against fucking Reggie Miller. I remember that game, son. Spike Lee was hype as a motherfucker. He was taunting the shit out of Reggie Miller because Reggie Miller used to come to New York and he used to do this, and he would motherfucking do this. That's how he used to do the Knicks. He used to grab his throat. He'd do this. Cause Reggie was like the Knicks killer. Reggie Miller was the Knicks killer. When they had to go up against the Indiana Pacers, this has always been with the Knicks. He was the problem for the Knicks. So if they had to play Reggie in the finals, or they had to play Reggie in the third round, Reggie always used to do them filthy. You know what I'm saying? And only two times they beat the Pacers 94 and 99. Those are the only two times they beat the Pacers. And the rest of the times, the Pacers beat them. 2000. I think they played the Pacers in 2000, and then the Pacers beat them in 2000 because I remember that game. That was Patrick's last game with the Knicks. And then after that, Patrick went to Seattle Sonics. That was the last one. And Reggie did but they got smoked by the Lakers. Shout out to Shaq and Kobe. They smoked the Pacers boots. And I remember that squad. That was Mark Jackson. That was Reggie Miller. I think Jermaine O'Neal was on that squad. And they spanked they boots, my nigga. And last year, you realize that the Pacers was strictly a shooting team. We should have beat them. Cause yeah, yeah, they relied on shooting. The Pacers was always been a shooting squad. Even your Dell Davis, even the later years when the Knicks was playing the Pacers, when they had Roy Hibbert, Paul George, when they had that squad, they the same system. They relied on the shooting. Even when Ronald, I think the best Pacers squad, in my opinion, was the '04 Pacers squad. And I'm gonna tell you why that was their best squad because that squad, you had Ron Artest, Jermaine O'Neal, Steven Jackson. That was the best squad that they had. And what fucked up their chances in playing against the Spurs? What was it, the Spurs or was the Lakers? Lakers. What hurt their chances playing against the Lakers that year was that malice in the palace. If they never had that altercation, and Rasheed Wallace and Ron Artest didn't start brawling, and then dude didn't throw that shit on Ron Artest, they would have won that year. They would have got a ring because Detroit, they was dogging that year. That was actually their year. That year, 2004, was actually the Pacers' year. That was their year. And what happened was the malice in the palace fucked up that year and it gave the Pistons, you know, but the Pistons they never came back because I think after that, yeah, Ben Wallace, it wasn't Rasheed, it was Ben Wallace. But after that, the Spurs spanked the Pistons and the Spurs took the chip back and the Spurs got their third championship. So it was a short motherfucker. But you know what's so crazy though? Larry Brown, what really fucked me up about that was that Larry Brown didn't win with AI, but he won with Ben Wallace and motherfucking Chauncey and my nigga Richard Hamilton. He won with that squad, but he didn't win with things, huh? Yeah, that was a good series. That was a good series. That '04 series, that was the best series. I ain't gonna lie. I liked it that season. That was one of the most slept on seasons in the NBA. That's when Kobe and Karl Malone was beefing. Yo, remember when Kobe was beefing with Karl Malone over Vanessa? Vanessa told, yo, that nigga Karl Malone, yo, that nigga Karl Malone, yo, that nigga Karl Malone, yo, that nigga got no pulls, son. That nigga don't got no pulls button, son. That nigga had that cowboy hat on. And she said, I like how you ride that cowboy. And yo, that nigga was trying to crack that nigga Kobe White, bro. When he did that, that fucked up that whole chances of Gary getting his first ring, bro. Gary Payton did not get his first ring. Yo, Gary Payton wanted his first ring that year, son. When that nigga Karl Malone was flirting with that nigga, when he was flirting with Kobe wife, and him and Kobe had the altercation at practice, and then Kobe and Shaq ain't even on good terms. That fucked up the whole Lakers. That fucked up the whole Lakers that year, yo. The mailman was out of pocket, my nigga. The mailman was out of pocket. That nigga was trying to fuck. He was trying to fuck this nigga wife, bro. He was trying to fuck this nigga wife while they trying to get a ring, son. And after that, yo, Shaq left the Lakers and went to Miami. And then Kobe was, I ain't gonna lie, had a shitty next season, bro, because he had y'all man on the squad, remember? Remember? He had your man Kwame Brown. The next year he got Kwame. And them niggas was losing like a motherfucker, bro. Oh my God, the Lakers was the worst that year, son. I remember that whole '05, '06 season. Oh my God, man. Kobe, yo. People thought Kobe last year's with the Lakers was the worst. Niggas don't remember the Kwame Brown season, son. Niggas don't remember that Kwame Brown season, son. That '05, '06, that '06, '07 season. Yo, son, Kobe was so happy when they got rid of that nigga, son. Yo, Kobe was pissed like a motherfucker, son. Yeah, he got that with ease. Karl Malone a disrespectful motherfucker for that. Yo, Karl Malone sabotage. How you sabotage a legendary team like that, man? You know what I'm saying? How y'all sabotage a legendary team like that, man? Like, how do you sabotage a squad that's legendary like that? People gotta let me know this. Yo, the crazy part about that whole '04, that '03, '04 season with Kobe and the Lakers, y'all gotta remember, this is Kobe coming off for Colorado, son. This is him going raw on the white girl in Colorado, right? This is Kobe saying, Shaq be doing it. Why I can't do it? He was on some finesse two times shit before finesse two times came out. My nigga Kobe said, Shaq could do it why I can't do it. They fucking did. Kobe and Shaq started beefing. Shaq put hands on Kobe. They had to break them up. Kobe, they always, son, they fucked up that whole dynasty, my nigga. Off of niggas putting niggas business out, who cheating on who sleeping with who. That was some mess. That was the messiest era of the Lakers, bro. Cause that dynasty broke up off of niggas pillow talking and putting this shit out there in the public. That's how niggas ain't know. Hey, you wanna know what's really crazy though? This how you know this shit is real crazy though. That Lakers, and I always say this about the Lakers, the Lakers squad, son. Yo, I don't know what it is with the Lakers, son, But niggas on the Lakers like to fuck niggas' wives, bro. Y'all know that, right? Because look, Gloria, right? Gloria Govan, right? Was Matt Barnes' wife. Derek Fisher and Matt Barnes played together. This nigga was piping the shit out of motherfucking Gloria, right? Matt Barnes pull up to the crib. He put the pause on this nigga. Now this nigga's the head coach of the Knicks at the time, Derek Fisher. He put the pause on this nigga. You hear me? Now these niggas that they know each other, they wives was friends, they been around each other, they was teammates, and this nigga was piping this nigga wife down, son. He beat the brakes off of motherfucking Derek Fisher, son. Word to word to mommy, son. And then the crazy part is Gloria's sister was fucking Shaq. That's the crazy part. I'm like, yo, if they ever did a TV series on that era of the Lakers, because they did one on the Showtime Lakers. But if they do a TV series on the Lakers squad from 96 to 2004, yo, how much wild shit them niggas was doing, son. And we going back when Nick Van Axel was over there, when my nigga Eddie Jones was over there, to when they left, and it was Robert Horry, Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, that whole squad. Like, I want to know how that series would be, man. Like like that would be like the illest movie or illest TV series, like that Kobe Shaq era, son. Because that's the wildest era there was in the NBA. I don't give a fuck what nobody say, nigga. That was a wild era, son. That was a wild era. I don't care what nobody. Hey, yo, and they only did it 3 times. They won 3 championships 3 times. Like when niggas say Shaq and Kobe, they act like Shaq and Kobe did it like 5 times, like Jordan and Pippen. They only did it 3 times together. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. They only did it 3 times. You know, only did it 3 times, man. Man, Barnes said he will beat up. I believe he'll beat up Kwame Brown. I believe he'll beat up Kwame Brown. I believe he'll beat up Kwame Brown. Kwame Brown ain't no tough nigga. Kwame Brown ain't no. Michael Jordan used to beat up Kwame Brown, bro. Y'all forgot that. Michael Jordan used to whoop his ass. When they used to lose a game, Michael Jordan used to be spazzing and he used to whoop Kwame Brown ass when they was playing for Washington Wizards. Nah, I don't got a personal issue with Kwame. It's documented that Michael Jordan used to whip his ass though. That's been documented. That's nothing. That's no lie. Like when Michael Jordan was known for beating his teammates' asses, bro. Like if his team lost a game, bro, Michael Jordan was putting hands on you. There's only a few niggas that stood up to Michael Jordan, bro. It was Bill Cartwright. It was I don't know about BJ Armstrong. I heard he smacked the shit out of BJ Armstrong. But I know Steve Kerr stood up to him. But everybody else, Pippen, he was whooping niggas' asses, bro. You know what I'm saying? Jordan was whooping niggas' asses, bro. Jordan was putting hands and feet on niggas, bro. You lost a game with Jordan, and Jordan ain't like losing, son. You lost a game, he cursing niggas out. He calling niggas bitch ass niggas. He asking for head up fades, man. Jordan asking for head up fades with niggas. Straight up. Straight up and down. Jordan asking for a head up fade, and he tearing your ass up. yo, 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 I remember they say, yo, one time they had laws. I think it was against this was Jordan had came back with the 45, and they had laws to the Magics, Penny Hardaway and Shaq. So Jordan was so tight. They said Jordan was so tight, he went in the back. He say, "Oh, y'all bitch ass niggas lost the motherfucking game," and that nigga popped on. Who he had popped on? He popped on not Ron Harper. No, he popped on Pippen. That's who he popped on. He popped on Scottie Pippen. He smacked the dog. That's why Scottie Pippen don't fuck with him to this day. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Jordan wasn't asking for a head up fade. If you try to swing back, niggas was jumping in front of you. Yo, Jordan was popping on them niggas, man. Nah, Robin know how to fight. Robin know how to fight. Yo, but you know what's crazy though, Supra? Like they always used to beat up on Pippen though. From like you can see the video of Charles Oakley grabbing that nigga by the throat, choking that nigga, smacking that nigga. They always used to beat up on that nigga. Like, but I ain't gonna lie. Jordan did some low blow shit to Rodman though. Cause Rodman was fucking around with Madonna. That nigga Jordan and Jordan did some foul shit. He tried to motherfucking cock block the nigga. He cock blocked the nigga. Jordan did some backdoor shit. Jordan was known for backdooring niggas with bitches. He was known for doing that. Jordan was known for doing that. That nigga Oakley, yo, that nigga Oakley loved Jordan, son. That nigga loved Michael Jordan. You say anything crazy out the way about Michael Jordan, Charles Oakley whooping your ass, my nigga. Straight up, nigga. Charles Oakley is enforcer and shit. If you say anything out the way about Jordan, and him and Jordan played on both rival teams, but he still ride for that nigga. Still ride for him. Even though them niggas played on rival teams and shit, even though them niggas, even though them niggas was competitors after he left the Bulls, that's still his motherfucking man till this day, son. Still his motherfucking man. That nigga, yo, Oakley a real one. Oakley took motherfucking Vanessa Williams, right? To motherfucking what he took her to? Was it Turkey Caicos? Jordan was on Jordan. Jordan was with his wife. He on Turkey Caicos with Vanessa Williams and shit, getting his Mac on. Oakley bringing her down there because wifey got the private investigators. Oakley a real one, nigga. I fuck with Oak. Oak a real one, nigga. And I'm gonna say this too. Jim Dolan, take that fucking shit off of fucking Oak and let Oak come to that Nick game, man. They did Oak dirty, son. They did Oakley dirty. Oakley should be at every Nick game. I don't give a fuck what nobody say, bro. There's no way in hell Charles Oakley is not at the Nick game. I don't care what nobody say. Charles Oakley, the enforcer, should be at every Knicks game. Like, yo, lift that fucking band, my nigga. How you gonna keep a band on Oak? And I understood Oak anger, son, because Oak came from that era where, like, yo, these niggas is trash. Y'all fucking up the legacy that we made, my nigga. That's like that nigga Oak, man. Like, I understood why he mad about that shit. But niggas need to let Oakley come up in that garden, man. Bless the people, bro. Charles Oakley definitely need to bless the people, bro. That's come on, man. Charles Oakley, like people gotta realize, if it wasn't for Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, Patrick Ewing, John Starks, yo, the Knicks would never been where they was in that conversation. Cause in the Eastern Conference, from the late 80s to no, from the 90s. Let's scratch the 80s. It was the 90s. From the early 90s to the mid 90s to the late 90s, the Knicks was always top five in the conversation. Why? Because you had players like Charles Oakley, you had players like Anthony Mason, you had players like X-Men Xavier McDaniels that ran, yo, that nigga wasn't scared of Jordan. He was all up in Jordan Grill. X-Men was all up in Jordan Grill. All up in Jordan Grill. Like, they was giving Jordan a problem. You know what I'm saying? So, no, that was the only team that Jordan had an issue. Like, after the Pistons was giving him a problem, the Knicks was like his biggest nemesis in the Eastern Conference. That was Jordan's biggest nemesis. There was no other nemesis bigger than the New York Knicks. So Charles Oakley definitely need to be there. Yeah, you know why they couldn't win? Cause but Sly, the reason why the Knicks couldn't win was because you had a hurt Larry Johnson and you had a hurt Patrick Ewing. Now, if Larry Johnson was healthy, right? And Patrick Ewing was healthy, they would have never lost that many games that they lost in that finals in 99. They lost those many games was because Patrick was not healthy at all. At all. And the fucked up part about that season, that was the shortest season in the NBA that year. Because remember, the Knicks, the NBA just came off of a lockout. That was a lockout season. So that's why they lost. That's why they lost. If they didn't have a lockout season, bro, and nobody was hurt on that squad, they would have beat them. They would have beat Tim Duncan in them. You know, Patrick was playing with his life on the line, man. Patrick Ewing played with his son. The saddest moment that ever I believe that killed the Knicks organization was when Patrick Ewing got drafted, got traded to the Sonics. When he got traded to the Sonics after they lost to the Indiana Pacers, that was over. That was over. That was over. Once they took Patrick, when Patrick left after they lost to the Pacers in 2000, the Knicks franchise died in 2000. Tell anybody that. I don't care if nobody say, even though they was still in the conversation 01, 02, but it was never the same after Patrick got traded to the Supersonics. It was never the same. It was never the same. The Knicks they didn't have that same um greatness that they had when Patrick was there. Because Patrick was really after Bernard King and Ward Clyde Frazier, Patrick Ewing was like the fucking champ of that squad. Like Patrick Ewing was the face of that brand. That was Jim. That was Dolan's. That was Dolan and it was Dolan's decision. It wasn't even Van Gundy. Van Gundy didn't want him to go. James Dolan was the one that got because they didn't want to pay Patrick more money. So what they did was James Dolan. That's why they don't fuck with Dolan because Dolan fucked up the Knicks franchise. He fucked it up, and that's why the Knicks, you know, franchise has never been the same because after that squad, that franchise died, and then Jeffrey and Gundy, it was over. Remember, they got Mark Jackson back over there. Larry Johnson, he retired because he was hurt. He retired. Remember, he had the back problems. And Van Gundy, they got him up out of there. Latrell Sprewell was gone. They was still paying Allen Houston way motherfucking much money to the point Allen Houston is like a big, I think he's like the biggest exec for the Knicks organization because they pay them massive money. You know what I'm saying? Which I never understood that. That's why they didn't have no money to get top tier talent because they was paying Allen Houston. They was stay paying him. You know what I'm saying? And not to take nothing away from Allen Houston. He was a great player, but why the fuck you keep paying a nigga that hasn't played for y'all in that many years? I understand he got a top position, but what the fuck y'all paying him for? Yeah, Patrick go on because Patrick stayed. You gotta look, Slob. Patrick stayed with the Knicks from when he first came. He came in 84, right? And from 84, his game developed from 84 to the late 80s to the 90s until 2000. So he took the Knicks to two conference finals. Two conference finals. Two no, he took the Knicks to two finals, NBA finals, and then he took them to I think it was like what, like three or four conference finals. Was it maybe like three? What was it, like three? Because I know they it was 2000 and 95, right? Because they played no. They didn't play 95. Did they play 95? I'm trying to remember now. They played against the Magics. 'Cause I think they played against the Magics. If I'm not mistaken. They played against the Magics, right? And they played in 93. I know they played in 93, but I'm trying to think, did they play in the 94 conference final? Okay, so yeah. So he took them to 93, 95, um, and 2000. He lost those three conference finals, and he took them to two NBA finals. So that's why Patrick is beloved. You know what I'm saying? Salute, Porgy. Yeah. Ray Allen was a beast. Ray Allen was a beast. Ray Allen was a beast. You know, he was a beast. Yeah, Allen definitely was a beast. Allen definitely was a beast. You know what's so crazy? Houston, and it's another thing about Houston. A lot of people didn't think Elijah Wan was going to win that year against the Knicks. That's why when they did that interview, never underestimate the heart of a champion, because the Knicks was edged out to be the winner in 94. But because, and I always say, that Bronco, y'all got it, that OJ Bronco chase, that's what jinxed that motherfucking finals, man. That Bronco chase and motherfucking Patrick getting suspended. Once that happened, and once Patrick got suspended, they lost that game. And the Houston Rockets went on to win in 94, and then they won in 95, and then Jordan came back and he just motherfucking went crazy. 96, 97, 98, Jordan just went crazy and just was collecting hardware. And then when he retired during the lockout, it opened up the lane back in the East, and the Knicks was back in the conversation, you know? Allen Houston wasn't a bad player. Allen Houston, let me say this about Allen Houston, man. Allen Houston was big, man. Allen Houston was big. Allen Houston, remember he was in that movie Black and White. Allen Houston was huge. The Knicks franchise, they was trying to replace Patrick with Allen Houston. That's why when they let go Patrick Ewing, the reason why they let go Patrick Ewing was because they had three big stars on that team. Larry Johnson, Patrick Ewing, and Allen Houston. And when you got these three stars on one squad, they gotta make it a way where we can't pay for all three of y'all. One of y'all got to go. So what it was, they said, all right, we're gonna let Patrick go, and we're gonna keep Larry Johnson, and we're gonna keep Allen Houston. Well, after they lost, it was over. After they lost to Indiana Pacers, it was over because that next year, that next season, that 01-02 season, Larry Johnson retired. And he retired young because he retired with a back injury. Yo, that Stoudemire and Melo and Tyson Chandler era was the worst. That was the biggest letdown because Amari Stoudemire was injured. Let's go back to that. Amari Amari Stoudemire was injured. That's one, right? Amari Stoudemire, when he first came over there, he played. When Melo came over there and when Tyson Chandler came over there, Amari Stoudemire was hurt. And from that whole time that Chandler and Melo was there, Stoudemire did not play at all. At all. They was just paying him. Like they paid Allen Houston after he left the Knicks, they was paying Amari Stoudemire the same way. They was paying him. He was sitting on the bench. He hardly played. I, he went to Miami and he ain't even play in Miami. You know what I'm saying? That's why I didn't understand why they retired. I think they retired his jersey with the Knicks. Out of mine, right? Like I didn't understand that because he didn't even play that whole season when Melo, like that 2012, 2013 season, or that 2014 season. He was just sitting there just getting the check. Yeah, he did his thing when before Melo came there. He was doing his thing, but once Melo got there and once Tyson Chandler got there, Stoudemire got hurt. Who was the Knicks banking on? Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith. They had Kenyon Martin over there. They had they had Collins over there, right? Collins was over there. I know Kenyon Martin, Collins, um, Jason Kidd, you know what I'm saying? Rasheed Wallace. Like they had that was that team was like they had vets and young players on there. And Tyson Chamberlain had he ain't had no power at all. I'm not gonna lie, Gotti. I didn't fuck with Amari back then. I felt like Steve Nash. Yeah, Steve Nash did make him. Steve Nash made him. Steve Nash, you gotta remember Steve Nash and when Shaq came over there, they put in most of the work. Amari Stoudemire was like a Dwight Howard. Yeah, he was a powerful player, but he didn't have the fundamentals. And that's what they banked off with Amari Stoudemire. You know what I'm saying? He was powerful, but didn't have the fundamentals. But yeah, retiring his jersey was crazy work because he didn't even play a whole season. He got hurt the next season when Melo came. He got like he was healthy. Like he came in what was 2010, 2011. And by like the 2011, 2000, no, it was the 2012, 2013 season, he had got hurt. He was hurt. So how you going to retire his jersey when he hardly played a whole season? He was hurt. He was hurt. Like Melo, I can understand. Melo did play. He played a long time, but Melo was stubborn, and Melo was really a ball hog, and Melo was a team killer. I'm gonna just keep it real. I got mad respect for Melo as a man. I got respect for him as a person. I got respect for him even as a player. But I'm gonna keep it all the way real with you. Melo was a team killer of the Knicks. No matter how people look at it, Oakley jersey should have definitely been retired before Amari Stoudemire. But that was a political play, Sly. That was James Dolan because you got to remember, they still was paying Amari Stoudemire after he left. He was Allen Houston 2.0. They was paying the man while he was hurt. So that's why, and Dolan and Oakley had their issues. You understand what I'm saying? So they really was hate. They really hated on Oak. They still hating on Oak. Melo was never. Yeah, Melo's a team killer, bro. Him, LeBron, them niggas was team killers, man. Like the only reason why LeBron got hardware is because he was with the right players at the right time in the right moment. If he wasn't around the right players and the right and the right dudes at the right moment, LeBron would be like Carmelo, no hardware, no rings at all. That's just what it is because they are not team players. Like people say what they want about Kobe, but Kobe was a team player. You understand what I'm saying? That's why Kobe got 5 rings. You understand what I'm saying? And he never left the Lakers. You understand? Melo and LeBron, they have left teams. They still can't get right. Yeah, he was there to get paid. Melo was there to get paid. Melo was there because you gotta understand he's in the money capital of the world, New York City. Any player wants to play. It's 3 teams in the NBA that players wants to play for. Before the Golden State Warriors. At that time, you wanted to either play for Miami, you wanted to play for New York Knicks because the pay was crazy. They was giving you crazy money, or you wanted to play for the Lakers, or you wanted to play for The Celtics, because the Celtics or the Spurs. Those are like the teams that players want to play for. Other than that, they didn't want to play for no Clippers. They ain't want to play for none of these other teams. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Melo hated on Jeremy Lin, bro. And Jeremy Lin was winning. Yo, that's how I knew Melo was a hater, bro. Jeremy Lin is winning games for you niggas when you niggas is hurt. How you beefing with the nigga for winning games for you niggas? And y'all niggas is not healthy, bro. They mad at Jeremy Lin, hating on Jeremy Lin. I'm like, yo, how y'all hating on Jeremy Lin? That shit was weird to me, bro. That shit was weird to me. So we retired Amari for robbing. Well, that is some Hall of Fame New York shit. That's a fact. Yeah, son, they hated on Jeremy Lin, and he blackballed Jeremy Lin. Melo blackballed Jeremy Lin. That's why, like, I didn't feel sorry when Phil Jackson did him dirty. I didn't feel sorry for Melo because Melo sabotaged the New York Knicks. Amari Stoudemire, Melo, Tyson Chandler, they didn't do nothing for the New York Knicks. The people that put in the work was Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Jeremy Lin. They put in the work. Them niggas was hurt. They was hurt collecting money. They hurt the whole. I remember that whole season, that whole 2012, 2013 season. They was hurt. He put in work when he came back. Stoudemire, remember, Stoudemire had came back with that. That was the 2013, 2014 season. Stoudemire came back and he played with Jeremy Lin and he put in work. But the majority of them niggas, Melo, Tyson Chandler and them, they was on the bench. I used to watch the games. I remember they was on the bench. Jeremy Lin was carrying that team. People didn't like that Linsanity era, but he was carrying the Knicks. He was carrying the Knicks. And Melo didn't like that. And still to this day, when they asked about Jeremy Lin, that nigga got an attitude about that. And I'm like, why you got an attitude about what Jeremy Lin did? Dog, he carried the team. The nigga was a G League player. He had just came up from the G League, Jeremy Lin. He wasn't even a star player of the Knicks. He was in the G League, right? Not only that he was in the G League, but he was also, you know, what you call it? He was also um he was a bench player. He was a bench role player. He wasn't even a star player. It was that night they didn't have anybody to put in there, and they needed a player. And Mike Woodson thought they had Jeremy Lin, and they placed him in as a replacement. And they got mad. You know, they got mad. Melo got mad that Lin put in the work, and I didn't understand that because, nigga, you hurt. Are you mad at this nigga for winning, bro? You know, but that's Melo, bro. You gotta remember, Melo did that bullshit in Denver. You know, that's why he couldn't win over there in Denver, man. You know what I'm saying? Like these dudes like Melo and LeBron, they like on some real shit, they is selfish players, bro. They destroy franchises. That's just what it is. Like niggas used to say what they want about AI, but Allen Iverson didn't destroy a franchise. Allen Iverson just didn't have the right players around him. If AI was playing for a team like the Chicago Bulls, or he was playing for a Lakers, or he was playing for a Boston Celtics, AI would have had a ring. AI just didn't have the right fundamentals. You can have a Deacon Mutombo, but who you gonna have that's gonna be backing you up on that court? Deacon Mutombo can't do so much. You know what I'm saying? Mark Clankston can't do so much. You know, that's just what it is. Yeah, he was an all-around player, and Melo just didn't like that. You know, now Melo isn't like that. You know, you know, who don't know nothing about sports. Yeah, yeah. Iverson and Shaq would have been crazy. Iverson and Shaq would have been crazy. But the thing is, Phil Jackson just didn't like the fact that Iverson was a rebel. But Iverson would have been crazy on a Lakers squad. You put Iverson with Shaq, Kobe, like that's all around. That's a championship team right there. They would have had like 6, 7, 8 rings if they'd have had an AI over there. You know what I'm saying? It just they had AI on the Sixers and he just didn't have no help. And that goes from his era with Stackhouse. That goes with his era with Matumbo. That just goes with everybody that even when Chris Webber was over there, he just never had no help. No, that wouldn't be unfair. That would be unfair. Shaq, Kobe, AI, that wouldn't been unfair because they styles match each other's style. Kobe is straight Mamba. AI know how to attack that paint. He gonna cross you over. Shaq is a motherfucking monster. He's a monster when he take it to the hole. So that would have been a monstrous team. If they would have had AI on the Lakers would have had 8 rings all together. They would have had 8 rings all together. You know what I'm saying? Because Kobe and Shaq and AI under that Phil Jackson system, that would have been crazy. That'd have been crazy. One thing I liked about Phil Jackson, what he did with the Lakers, right? And even with the Chicago Bulls, he took niggas that didn't like playing under a system and made them adapt to the triangle offense. Melo, and I say this again, Melo, a ball hog, a team killer. Y'all know this. LeBron is a team killer. Y'all know this. That's why the Lakers organization is going down. It's no way in hell LeBron been on that team and they only got 1 ring, and that 1 ring was in the bubble. The bubble. They got a bubble championship, the training facility. They don't got a ring after that. That just tells you that LeBron killed the Lakers. Straight up. Straight up. They done had everybody over there. They done had motherfucking everybody done played over there. They destroyed it. The Knicks had Melo over there. He destroyed the Knicks. They try to paint Phil Jackson, old Phil Jackson, fucked up the Knicks organization. No, Phil Jackson ain't fuck up the Knicks organization. Carmelo fucked up the Knicks organization. He did what Stephon Marbury did. Stephon Marbury fucked up the Knicks organization. I love Marbury. Marbury is one of the best of all times. Don't get it twisted. But at the end of the day, Marbury fucked up Isaiah Thomas' legacy and he fucked up the Knicks' legacy when he came over there and was doing the bullshit. That's why when he went to Boston, they got rid of Marbury. That's just what it is. Yeah, they should retire in Cleveland because he's starting in Cleveland. I don't think no other team, Miami, yeah. I don't think they should retire him in the Lakers because he ain't do nothing for the Lakers. Why retire his jersey in LA? That if they retire his jersey in LA, that's a slap in the face of the legacy of Magic Johnson, Kareem, Kobe, Shaq. That's an insult to those dudes because they actually never left the Lakers. Shaq is the only one that left the Lakers, but Magic stayed with the Lakers. Kobe retired as a Laker. Magic retired as a Laker. You understand what I'm saying? So the people that retired as a Laker or stayed and won championship with the Lakers, they should be retired there. Not somebody that won a bubble championship is retiring his motherfucking jersey. They out of motherfucking pocket. If the Lakers do that, Dr. Bus is rolling in his fucking grave. Cause that's an insult to them motherfuckers that did some legendary shit. And I hope they don't retire his jersey. I hope they don't, because if they do, that was some political shit and that was some bullshit. Because ain't no motherfucking way you gonna retire a nigga jersey that helped y'all win a championship in a fucking training facility, man. That nigga LeBron fucking shitted on the Lakers. I don't care what nobody say. He shitted on the Lakers organization. This man came in and just destructively destroyed that franchise. His son ain't got game like that. They should have never drafted his son. That was the worst thing that the fucking Lakers ever did. How the fuck you gonna draft this nigga's son and his son don't even y'all knew this nigga should have never been in the game. Come on, man. The Lakers going, yeah, Lakers got it. Knicks got it in six. Knicks definitely got it in six. And I'm gonna say this too about Wembley. I'm gonna say this too about Wembley. Wembley better tighten up his fucking game, man. Wembley better tighten up his fucking game because at the end of the day, the Knicks steamroll the Spurs. That just shows you that in the NBA right now, the Knicks just steamroll all the motherfucking teams that everybody said that was going to smoke the Knicks. They went through Atlanta, they went through Cleveland and the Sixers, and now they going through the Spurs. I don't care what nobody say. The Spurs, to be a legendary team like the Spurs, and we go back to when Tim Duncan was over there. Niggas wasn't running through the Spurs when Tim Duncan and them was over there. When they played Miami, yo, that shit went to game seven. This shit not even going to a game seven. It's going to a game six or a game or game or game five. Yeah, Wembley acting like a Wendy. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, bro. Them legs is noodles, man. Yo, the way Carl Anthony Towns stuck his legs up, I was like, oh, his legs is weak. His legs is noodles. There's no way you big like that and you ain't going to no motherfucker. You letting them steamroll y'all in motherfucking in San Antonio. Like they washed them in San Antonio two times. You know what I'm saying? And then the only way, and I'm gonna keep it real, Uncle Trizzy, Donald Trump, came to New York and he helped the Spurs. Cause I ain't gonna lie, if Trump didn't come to that game, I think the Knicks would have steamrolled them. Cause they didn't have no attack game at all, the Spurs. No attack game at all. You know what I'm saying? And the dude Wembley, I thought the way people was gassing him, yo, he's a beast. Yo, he's 7'5". He's a beast. I'm like, okay, he's 7'5". He a beast. But then when I saw his game, I'm like, nah, his game is he's not a beast because Cat shook his legs like noodles. I'm like, he's not a beast. Like a lot of these players that they be saying that be a beast, I be like, yo, these they not no they don't got no fundamentals, bro. They don't got no fun. Like I always believe that to make you a beast, your attack game gotta be official. Like Tim Duncan attack game was official. Like when they had Kawhi Leonard over there on the Spurs, and I really think the Spurs fucked up the legacy of that squad when they let go Kawhi. Because Kawhi could have carried that squad to the future. Because Kawhi was a beast. But I understand the Spurs was on some saving money shit, and that's what it is. But yeah, man, you gotta he gotta put something on, man. Yeah, he definitely fucked up. He definitely fucked up. But That's because they underestimated Mike Brown, son. Mike Brown, niggas, I don't know why niggas think Mike Brown was a shitty coach, man. It was just LeBron that gave Mike Brown a hard time. Mike Brown ain't a shitty coach, man. Like Mike Brown, people got to remember Mike Brown came up under Greg Popovich. Mike Brown was with Golden State Warriors. So Mike Brown ain't a shitty coach. It's just niggas like LeBron couldn't play under his system. But people got to remember Mike Brown led LeBron James to the NBA Finals against the Spurs in 2007. People keep forgetting that. His first finals game that he ever had was against the Spurs. But the thing was, LeBron wasn't ready for that Spurs squad. Because that squad had my nigga Robert Horry. You hear me? That squad had Robert Horry, Brent Berry, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. Like that squad was a problem. And they smoked LeBron. They only got one game. LeBron and them only won one game. And the other game, they just shut their asses down. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's a young squad. That Spurs squad is a young squad, man. Everybody on that squad is young. That's the first time they ever been in the NBA finals. They not ready, man. They not ready, man. Them, you gotta take it to the hole. See what people gotta understand. You could do threes all day, but if you can't take that shit to the hole, them threes don't matter, man. Niggas gotta understand this. Offense win championships. That's what people don't understand. Offense win championships. It always has. You can have defense all day, but you need that fucking offense. You can't win a championship without that offense. The Lakers won championships because they had the greatest offensive team. LeBron won his first chip because he was with a coach like Pat Riley that was telling Eric Spoelstra, this is how you're supposed to win with an offensive type of game. If Pat Riley wasn't there, LeBron and them would have never won that chip against OKC. Bad coaching all day, every day. Yeah, but you got to remember, Slob, they won on defense. And let me go back to that with the Pistons. The Pistons won on defense because if you got Shaq beefing with Kobe, you got Gary Payton in the middle trying to keep the peace. You got Karl Malone beefing with Kobe. You got Shaq mad with Phil Jackson because he taking Kobe's side. How y'all gonna win a championship with a squad that can't get together and they can't get shit right? They couldn't get shit right. That squad couldn't get shit right. That's why the Lakers won. The Lakers lost against the Pistons because the whole squad is beefing with each other. Now notice when the Pistons played against the Spurs in '05, they whipped that ass straight up and down. They whipped that ass. But if you got a Lakers squad that everybody beefing on the squad and nobody can keep the peace, they wasn't gonna win no championship. They wasn't gonna win. And that's why till this day, when they talk about that season, they always say it was the tension that stopped them from winning the chip that year. Because the Lakers could have got, I'm gonna keep it real with you, they could have got a chip that year. But you got Karl Malone trying to fuck on Kobe's wife. You got Kobe putting Shaq business in the street. You got Phil Jackson telling Shaq, yo, you got to lose fucking weight. Them niggas, listen, man, it wasn't gonna work, man. It wasn't gonna work. You know? And Peyton wanted a ring. Peyton wanted a ring badly because he like, yo, I lost. I couldn't get it with with the Supersonics, and I get to the Lakers, I could finally get that hurdle, and it just didn't work for him. And that's why the Pistons won because look, Larry Brown played against the Lakers in '01 with the Sixers, and they lost. You feel me? They lost. It went to 7 games, but the Spurs still whipped that ass. It went to 7 games, but they still whipped that ass though. Let's just keep it real. The Spurs whipped that ass. Listen, Popovich, you know what I'm saying? Was a problem, man. Larry Brown was a great coach, but that Greg Popovich system, my nigga. And you got Big Shot Bob, bro. Big Shot Bob. Well, hold up, Sly. You gonna act like they ain't had Big Shot Bob? Big Shot Bob was over there, my nigga. I know you ain't gonna act like Big Shot Bob wasn't over there. Big Shot Bob was over there. Come on, man. Clutch mode. You know what I'm saying? Robert Horry, one of them niggas that you need a squad. You need a Robert Horry on your squad, man. Real talk. You need any team that you got, you need a Robert Horry on your squad, bro. Cause Big Shot Bob go get it in. And look, this nigga was at the right time at the right place. We talking about Houston Rockets. We talking about LA Lakers. We talking about the San Antonio Spurs. This nigga got 7 rings being on the right team at the right time, my nigga. Hitting niggas with that clutch. Come on, bro. Hey, yo, he don't gotta be Hall of Fame. Listen, he don't gotta be first ballot Hall of Fame. Just off of him having that clutch shot and being on the right teams at the right time, he don't gotta be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He gonna be in the Hall, but he don't gotta be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He just was on the right team at the right time. That's just what it is. He don't gotta be a first. He don't gotta be a first ballot. You on the right squad at the right. That's like Dennis Rodman, bro. Dennis Rodman was on the right team at the right time, bro. You got to look at Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman played with the Pistons, the Bad Boy Pistons, won his first 2 with the Pistons, right? Run the rest of his rings with the Chicago Bulls. Come on, man. Yeah, yeah, Big Smooth, that dude. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at Deep Rodman and then you look at Robert Horry, them niggas don't got to be on a first ballot. They don't got to be the star of the team. Long as I'm on the team at the right time, at the right place, I'm good, my nigga. I'm good. I'm good. And Dennis Rodman was good because look, listen, he was on the Pistons. He did his thing. He was on the Spurs with Sweet Pea and Rod Strickland and David Robinson. But when you go to Chicago Bulls, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah, he could have been a leader. He could have been a leader. Hey, yo, I'm not shitting on Dennis. I'm just saying, bro. Sam Perkins is that dude. Sam Perkins. Now, let me say this about Sam Perkins. Sam Perkins, y'all remember Sam Perkins played with Michael Jordan in college. You understand what I'm saying? And he went, did his thing on the Lakers and all that, played on the Sonics and all that. Sam Perkins is a player. You got to give him his credit. Another dude that was on the right team. Now he wasn't on a team where niggas got them chips, but he was on the right team at the right time. You know what I'm saying? He was on the right team at the right time. And what he did in college with him and James Worthy, yo, I'm kind of mad that the NBA never put Jordan, Perkins, and Worthy together. Imagine that squad. Worthy, Perkins, and Jordan. That Tar Heel squad. Imagine that on the Chicago Bulls. How many rings you think them niggas would have got? That Tar Heel squad. Just them three together. How many rings them niggas would have got together? Just off the rip. Just looking at that squad right there. Because that right there would have been a lethal squad. I ain't gonna lie. Kenny Smith, definitely Kenny Smith. Put Kenny Smith on there. That'd have been crazy. That'd have been a crazy squad. I ain't gonna lie. NBA knew what they was doing, man. NBA knew what they was doing, man. I always say NBA knew what they was doing when they ain't put certain niggas on this team together, man. They would have won in the 80s. That's a fact. They would have won in the 80s. The NBA knew what they was doing. When they yo, listen, if the NBA, and I'm gonna say this right now, Abdul Rauf, right? If Shaq and Abdul Rauf, if they would have put Abdul Rauf on the Orlando Magics with Penny Hardaway and Shaq, how many rings would get together, my nigga? Because they was putting in heavy work when they played together in college. How much rings would have motherfucking got together in the NBA, my nigga? That petty squad, my nigga. Like that, like I always look at that, man. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. NBA know what they doing, man. They know what they doing, man. They know what they doing, man. Like they know. They know it's certain. They don't like if a team is great in college and you won't put them niggas in the same team, yo, them niggas they know, man. Penny that nigga though, man. Penny did fold it against Houston, man. Penny was a beast, man. But Penny hurt. Yo, Shaq was tight. When Penny lost, Shaq was hurt because they had Horace Grant, my nigga. They had Horace Grant coming from the fucking Bulls over there, bro. They had a good squad, and Penny choked. Penny choked. Yeah, Chris Jackson was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, man. Steph Curry took Chris Jackson whole game. I don't keep what nobody say. You watch Chris Jackson game and then you watch Steph Curry game. That's Chris Jackson all day, every day, hands down, man. If they would have never, if the NBA would have never banned him from the league because he it was praying during the national anthem, I tell people that man would have had one of the best NBA careers ever, man. Because he was a beast in college, and he was a beast in the league. It's just NBA at that time, Mr. Stern was on his Stern shit. David Stern was on some like you see how he did AI, you seen how he did Kobe. Once Kobe caught that case in Colorado, Kobe was no longer the face of the NBA. They made sure they tarnished that nigga legacy. Till this day, they still trying to put LeBron in the conversation. How you gonna put LeBron over Kobe? That make no motherfucking sense. Yeah, Nick Anderson, that's a fact. That make no motherfucking sense. How you gonna put LeBron over Kobe? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Bronson, if he wins the finals, that he definitely should be MVP. Finals MVP. I think he should. I think he should. I think he should. In my opinion, Bronson and Carl Anthony Towns, in my opinion, um, is the best duo in the league right now. I don't know why. Like when I look at that duo, it remind me of Shaq and Kobe a little bit. It remind me a little bit of, if they keep going, they could be like Rodman and Nah, I don't think he top three. I think he like I think he top five, top 10. I don't think he top three. I don't think he top three though. And they kind of like the Splash Brothers a little bit. You know, they could be like the East Coast version of the Splash Brothers if they keep going. Because the Rain Man, George Carl was like he understood the Rain Man, and George Carl when he coached Peyton and Sean Kemp, they styles matched each other. Once Sean Kemp left and he went to Orlando Magics and these other teams, it just never worked for him because Sean Kemp wasn't going to fit for any other coach system unless he was like a coach like a Pat Riley and a Phil Jackson and he had to adapt to their system. Sean Kemp couldn't adapt to any other system but George Karl and the player that he was. It's just like Stephon Marbury. Marbury was never the same after he left the Timberwolves. Straight like that. After he left the Timberwolves, he never was the same. That's just what it is. Um, I got Luca. Luca's a beast. Giannis is cool, but I got Luca. I got Luca. But when Stephon Marbury got traded to the Nets, that really fucked up the legacy of the Timberwolves because they had a good squad over here. Like they should have never broke that up. They should have never broke that up. They should have never broke that up. That was a good team. That Timberwolves squad was a good team, but the high ups they had to break them up, man. But that was a great duo, man. Why you breaking up something if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? Like him and Garnett was great with each other. They match each other's style and they was good. But when they broke them up, Marbury never was the same. Marbury kept going from team to team. He went to the Nets. It didn't work in the Nets. He went from the Nets. He went to Phoenix. It didn't work in Phoenix. He came to the Knicks. It definitely didn't work in the Knicks. He fucked the Knicks all the way up. You know what I'm saying? Him and Isaiah Thomas did not get along. And Isaiah Thomas got fucking caught out there fucking with the coach. And I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. I'm like, damn, Isaiah Thomas, my nigga, she ain't even all that. How you risking your whole motherfucking your job shit the fuck with the coach, my nigga? Like when he fucked with the female coach, I'm like, yo, she wasn't a bad. I could see if she was a bad bitch, but she wasn't even all that. He was wilding. Bill Russell, Jordan, Magic, Kobe, Tim, Shaq, Steph, Bird, The Dream, Zeke, LeBron had joined. LeBron is not a GOAT, and LeBron is not a top five, top 10 player. He is a top 50, top 100 player. He's not even in the top 20 because it's way better players in the top 20 over LeBron. LeBron is just not. He's not a top five, top 10 player. He's never been a top five, top 10 player. You know what I'm saying? If you gotta go, he disqualifies himself in that conversation when you left Cleveland to win a chip. He not top five, bro. You gotta look at his record. Look at his like all he's doing right now is basically trying to beat records. LeBron is not how you say trying to win championships. He win it. But if he win a championship, he's winning it with three other all-stars. You understand what I'm saying? If you look, right, LeBron's been in the NBA finals, right? He's lost what seven? No, nine NBA finals. Nine NBA finals he's lost, right? He's won only five. What five or four, right? It's five or four, I think. Right? He won five or four. He's won five or four NBA finals, right? So to lose non-NBA 4 to 6. All right, so 4 to 6. So he's won four, he's lost six, right? Now you look at all the dudes that's his predecessors, right? Kobe has won five, lost two, right? Kobe won five and lost two, right? Jordan has never lost the NBA finals ever. He's he's 6-0, right? So there's players that doesn't have a record like LeBron. LeBron's record is 4-6. 4-6. That right there that disqualifies him from the GOAT conversation. And then you look at his conference finals wins. He doesn't got that many conference finals wins because he's been eliminated first round. So if you look at his record, right, all he's doing is breaking stats, breaking records. And I can't respect him breaking records when you ain't bringing in no hardware. No, Jordan never won without Pippen, but you got to understand, it was teamwork with Jordan. Jordan had the fundamentals. So Pippen couldn't win it without Jordan, if you want to be technical. Because Pippen went in the NBA, he played in the NBA that year in the NBA conference finals, right? But he lost, right? It was him and Horace Grant. He couldn't get the job done, right? Jordan comes back. Jordan lose against the Magics. They come back the next year, right? They put the work in. Now hold on. Hold on with the Blazers. I'm glad you brought the Blazers up. Hold on with that. Now, you talk about the Blazers, the conference finals of 2000, right? We got to give credit where it's due. Rasheed Wallace, right? Smitty Smith. We got to give credit to them brothers because you can't just say it was all Pippen, Damon Stoudemire. We got to give them credit because they helped Pippen on that Blazers squad. Not to take nothing away from Pippen game, because Pippen got game, but Pippen ain't a beast. You understand what I'm saying? Pippen ain't a beast. You understand what I'm saying? Now, like I said, without a Rasheed Wallace, without a Damon Stoudemire, you understand what I'm saying? They would have never got to that conference finals that year. And they still lost to the Lakers. They still lost to the Lakers. But they was in the conversation though. Yeah. Pippen was past his prime around that time. He passed his prime. You know. But they had a good squad. I'm not gonna sit here and act like they didn't have a good squad. They had a damn good squad. They had my nigga Rasheed Wallace. Rasheed, my nigga, I fuck with Rasheed. Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire. You know, Damon did his thing over in Canada, but when he came to the Blazers, he's a beast over there. That was a fucking good fucking squad, my nigga. But the Lakers was just too much for them. You know? Yeah, Rasheed won a ring. He won a ring with fucking the Pistons. Rasheed won with it was Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. They won a ring that year. Rasheed got one ring. He don't got that many rings. Shout out to Rasheed Wallace. You know what I'm saying? Before Rasheed was on any of these teams, it was Rasheed and Stackhouse. Rasheed and Stackhouse. Who remember Rasheed and Stackhouse? Tar Heels, nigga. Rasheed Wallace, boy. That's my nigga. I fuck with Rasheed, boy. Rip Hamilton, yeah, man. That Pistol squad was a dope squad. I can't lie. Yeah, yeah. That same like, yeah, the Spurs, but the Spurs. The Spurs was sweeping everybody. And you talking about when the Spurs played them in '03, or you talking about when the Spurs in '99? Did they play them in '99? The Spurs play I think they played them in '99. Did they play them in '99? I gotta remember who they played in '99. Well, Phil Jackson wasn't a coach when Kurt Rambis was the coach for the Lakers in '99. And Kurt Rambis, they let him go. And yeah. With Jawan Howard and Chris Webber. Yeah, they should have won. That was a good squad. I ain't gonna lie. Jawan Howard, Chris Webber. Oh my God. And Jawan and Chris, they played in Michigan together. That was a dope fucking team. That's a slept on team right there. Yeah. That's crazy. He didn't get out the first round. Yeah. At five. Yep. Yeah. Sean Elliott. Yo, that's who I was talking about. Yo, Sly. That's who I was talking about. Sean Elliott, um, David Robinson, Vinny Del Negro, Tim Duncan. That was that Pistons. That was that Spurs squad. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, yo, who the fuck was over there? And he played with the Pistons. And I was trying to think, and it was on the tip of my tongue. But I'm glad you said Sean Elliott, because Sean Elliott, he played with the Pistons. And then he went to the Spurs, and that's when he got his first ring. Avery Johnson, my nigga Avery Johnson. Ugly ass nigga. Avery Johnson was over there. Avery Johnson got like two rings with them. Avery Johnson got like two rings with them. Avery Johnson was a shitty ass coach though. Great player, but he was a shitty ass coach. He was a shitty ass coach, but he was a great player though. I can't take that away from him. He was a damn good player, man. They had some shooters on that squad, boy. That's why I said this Spurs squad ain't like the Spurs squad of the '90s, boy. They had nothing but shooters, man. Ring generals, my nigga. They was generals in that court. Straight up and down, man. They was shooting like crazy. Vinny Del Negro was a beast. Fucking Sean Elliott was a beast. Avery Johnson was a beast. David Robinson was a beast. Like they had that Spurs squad, '90s, late '90s, 2000s was way better than the Spurs squad that they got right now. No disrespect to Champagne and all them that they got now, but that squad ain't nothing like the Spurs squad that they had when Pop had them hitters. Pop had shooters. That's why when they played the Knicks, they couldn't fuck with them. Yo, that Spurs squad was the Lakers' worst nightmare, bro. The only team that gave the Lakers problems in the West was the Spurs. No other team gave the Lakers a problem. The Lakers steamrolled every team in the West. But when it came to playing them Spurs, they was steamrolling the Lakers. Every year they had to go head up with them niggas. They steamroll them. '03. Oh, I think they played them in '05. They '05. You know what I'm saying? Like they steamroll them. The Kings, but the Kings see the thing with the Kings now. The Kings, Chris Webber and them, they was a good squad. Because they had Chris Webber, Vladdy Divac, um, Doug Christie. Remember that brawl they had? Doug Christie, Vladdy and Shaq started brawling. Doug Christie and Rick Fox. You know what I'm saying? They had Mike Bibby, White Chocolate. My nigga White Chocolate was over there. You know what I'm saying? My nigga Jason Williams. Come on, man. That King squad was wicked, bro. That King squad was wicked. I'll never take nothing away from that King squad. You know, even though the Lakers had some, I'm not gonna lie, the Lakers had some problems. Mitch Richmond, Ron Harper, motherfucking John Sally. You know what I'm saying? They had some Rick Fox. They had some motherfuckers over there, but I can't lie. I think they even had Horace Grant was over there. Horace Grant, yeah. They had some hitters, but I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, no, all jokes aside, bro, the Spurs was a problem for them niggas, man. Spurs was a problem. Spurs was a problem for them niggas. Spurs was the best out the West, man. There was only like two teams best out the West, the Lakers and the Spurs. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? Harper's son is nasty, bro. Ron Harper's son is nasty, bro. I ain't gonna lie. His pops was a problem. His pops was a problem. Ron Harper was a problem. Like after he left, he was a problem on Cleveland. But when he went to the Bulls, and then when he came to the Lakers, he was even more a problem. Ron Harper was a problem, man, and his son a problem. So the apple don't fall too far from the tree. You know what I'm saying? His son is a beast. You know, Ron Harper, like now I don't know if niggas forgot, but I ain't forget. Ron Harper was that nigga, bro. Straight up and down. Like there was nobody fucking with Ron Harper. Like when he was on Cleveland, he was a problem. He was a problem. They had him, Craig Elo. That is Steve Kerr, a young Steve Kerr was over there. You know what I'm saying? But he got injured. He got injured. And then when he went to the Clippers, like I think what really fucked him up was when he went to the Clippers. The Clippers fucked his game up. But then when he got to the Bulls, that put him to a next level, man. Next level of greatness, man. You know what I'm saying? He needed to be under that Phil Jackson system because Phil knew how to use a Ron Harper, just like he knew how to use a John Sally. You know, and Steve Kerr was a problem. Mark Price, Craig Elo, Steve Kerr. That was the Cleveland. That was the Cleveland. That was the original Cleveland Cavaliers, man. But that Cleveland Cavaliers team was the illest shooters, man. They had some ill white boys that was shooting, my nigga. Like they was black niggas. They had black nigga game, bro. Like that Cleveland Cavaliers team was not playing, bro. That was the shooting squad right there. Like Craig Elo, Mark Price, Steve Kerr. Come on, man. That was a problem squad right there. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? Ron Harper was a beast, man. Yeah. But but you gotta look, Slide. That Spurs squad, yeah, Danny Ferris, yeah, facts. That Spurs squad, Slide, why that Spurs squad was so great, right? And why they won against the Knicks was that the Knicks had all they missing pieces going, right? So okay, if you got Larry Johnson, who's not to take nothing away from Allen Houston, not to take nothing away from Latrell Sprewell, right? And Marcus Camby and all them, right? Nothing to take nothing away from them. But if you got Patrick not there and you got Larry Johnson not there, you missing pieces. So that's why the Spurs was able to steamroll them because all they big dogs was out. The big dogs was out, and that's what smoked them. Yeah, Steve Kerr was over. He was on the Cavs. Steve Kerr was on the Cavs. Steve Kerr was on the Cavs for real, for real. He was on the Cavs. But the crazy part about Latrell Sprewell, he was never supposed to be a Knick. The reason why he got over there as a rookie, yeah, he was over there as a rookie. The reason why Latrell Sprewell got over there, yeah, Steve Kerr was on it. He got a ring with the Spurs. He got a ring with the Spurs. He was on the 03. I don't think he was he on the 05 squad? I think he was on the 05 squad. He was on the 03, 05 squad. He got a ring. He got a ring that year. But Latrell Sprewell, the reason why he got over there was because he choked out PJ. You understand what I'm saying? But look how God works. He choked out his coach and he got with the best team in the East. You know what I'm saying? But my nigga Latrell Sprewell choked the shit out of a fucking PJ, my nigga. Nature's a fool for that lie. He said, go to state, holding your face. Ha! He said, go to state, holding your face. He said, I choke niggas like I'm Sprewell. Yo, son. That nigga Sprewell ain't want to let go, nigga. He ain't want to let go. But when he went over there to New York Knicks, they needed a Latrell, man. That motherfucker was crazy. He was bugged out, but they knew how to neutralize Latrell Sprewell. Jeff Van Gundy worked him well over there. You know what I'm saying? And then he was good playing with Allen Houston and Larry Johnson and Ewing. You know what I'm saying? Because I really believe, right, Ewing's best squads was John Starks, Anthony Mason, Oakley. You know what I'm saying? Doc was over there. Mark Jackson was over there. Those were his best squads. But once he got with, later on after John Starks and Oakley and Mason left, and then he got Larry Johnson over there, and then he got Latrell Speedwell, that was another great squad that Ewing had. You know what I'm saying? Ewing had the best team with the chemistry. Ain't gonna lie. $1 million money minds. What's good with you, family? That team had more chemistry than the 2010s and 2000s Knicks was trash, bro. Them teams, they just was putting niggas over there because niggas had names, bro. The Knicks just didn't care who they was signing, bro. They just was signing niggas just to sign niggas. And you can't do that with an organization. Sign niggas just to sign niggas. The Knicks had when the Knicks had it, they had it when they knew they had homegrown players. Like when they got Anthony Mason, right? Coming from playing with the New Jersey Nets, right? And then playing overseas. When they got him, he was the right piece for that system, right? And then you got Charles Oakley that was already there, right? And then you got Mark Jack who's on his way out, right? But you got John Starks, you got Doc Rivers, you got McDaniels, you got so many players that was able to work in that system. It just didn't work when you got a Mello, a Mari Stoudemire, a motherfucking Tyson Chandler, a Kenyon Martin, a Jason Kidd. It's too many Indians, not enough Chiefs, my name. It's too many it's too much Chiefs, not enough Indians, bro. And when you got a bunch of chefs in the kitchen and they all got versatile different styles, it's not gonna work. Kenyon Martin played with Melo. If it didn't work when he played with Melo in Denver, what makes you think it was gonna work there? You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't going to work there. You know what I'm saying? Raymond Felton, Tim Hardaway Jr., Porzingis. Even when they got Derrick Rose over there. I like D Rose, but you know what Derrick Rose's biggest problem was? And I'm gonna keep it all the way real with y'all. Derrick Rose's biggest problem was as an athlete, and this is, and it was with Chicago. He got hurt too much, and Tim Thibodeau played him a lot. And not to take nothing from Tom Thibodeau was a great coach. Tom Thibodeau was able to keep Chicago in the conversation, but he's not a coach that's going to take you to the promised land. And that's why, and I told people, right? I said, if the Knicks ever get a coach, right? I always believed the Knicks needed Mark Jackson as a coach. But when I saw they didn't want to hire Mark Jackson, I said, you got to get somebody that's going to be good for that system. Mark Jackson, in my opinion, should have been the coach of the Knicks. In my opinion, like if they would have got Mark Jackson after the Golden State Warriors fired him, Mark Jackson could have shaped that Knicks organization up and made that how he made the fucking Golden State Warriors system. great. But I don't know if they got a personal problem with Mark Jackson and they don't fuck with Mark Jackson, which I think that's kind of sad. That this is a man that y'all drafted. He's a home boy, he's a home team veteran, bro. Y'all don't want to let him come over there and coach the squad. I didn't understand that. Like, why they didn't want Mark Jackson to coach Knicks. That was always my biggest like that made me look at them niggas crazy, son. Dolan as an owner, bro, he's a wishy-washy owner. Like he'll be good for 1 minute and then he always turned me off. That's what make me get mad with the Knicks organization sometimes because they just fuck up the whole greatness of that organization, bro. Like when they let go motherfucking um Patrick and he didn't want to pay Patrick Ewing no more, that was fucking ridiculous. Yeah, but Thibodeau's biggest mistake, Sly, is that he worked his players to the point where they injury prone, and you can't do that, man. You can't. If you want your players to be healthy, you can't play your players. The big difference with Derrick Rose, he kept playing Derrick Rose to the point Derrick Rose is hurt. Lou Hall Dang is hurt. All these niggas is hurt, and that's what fucked it up for them. Like he really like fucked them all the way up. Yeah, but like yo, but Sly, they acting like Mark Jackson didn't stay loyal to the Knicks. He came back to the Knicks, Sly. He came back to the Knicks after he left in '92. He came back to the Knicks in 2001. He retired from the league as a Knick. So how can you see Prince Cole, Henchman, and man? I don't know. See, I'm gonna watch that. It's a new video. I gotta see that with Prince. He said something about Jimmy Henchman. I gotta see that. I gotta see that. I don't post that on my page. I gotta see that. But I didn't see that. Somebody sent me that video on my DMs. I gotta see that. Uh, but Mark Jackson, because I want to finish saying what I was saying about Mark Jackson. I had to read that. Oh, all right, send that to me. I'm gonna watch that. I ain't know he went at Max B. But why his beef? His beef with Max B? Them niggas don't even know Max B case, bro. They that's all over the place with that shit. I don't know. But let me finish saying what I was saying about what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Mark Jackson. So yeah, Mark Jackson, in my opinion, he came back to the Knicks, right, as a great player, bro. Right? He drafted him and Rod Strickland was both drafted to the Knicks in '88, right? So out the rip, this is a team that I was drafted to. Okay, I left the team in '92, right? I went to the Pacers. I played with the Pacers, and then after I left the Pacers, I came back to my organization that drafted me because he came back. What was it, 2000, 2001? He came back to the Knicks. He came back and played and retired as a Knick, right? So if I retired as a Knick, I'm the only one that could get my team back to basics. I did it with Golden State Warriors. I could do it with the Knicks. And I just didn't understand why they was hiring Mike Woodson that destroyed the Knicks organization. Isaiah Thomas, I love Isaiah Thomas, great player, but him and Marbury wasn't gonna get along. And then him fucking the chick, it fucked up the whole shit for him, right? So a lot of shit that happened in the NBA, it happened because the Knicks, I mean, Knicks organization, it happened because Dolan don't know how to run a fucking NBA team. He knew how to run a fucking hockey team. You know what I'm saying? He know how to run that. That's why the Rangers kept winning and all that, because he know how to run a fucking hockey team. But that motherfucker can't fucking, you know, he can't run no Knicks. Nah, Mike Woodson wasn't bad, bro. Mike Woodson wasn't bad, but Mike Woodson didn't, you know, fucking drag his nuts, pulls when dealing with LeBron. Not LeBron, Melo. We're dealing with Melo. Melo was bossing Mike Woodson around and telling Mike Woodson what he need to do. And that's what fucked up the Knicks. You understand what I'm saying? Carmelo was Stephon Marbury 2.0. Okay? Stephon Marbury sabotaged the Knicks in the 2000s. Melo sabotaged the Knicks in the 2010s. I don't care what nobody say. He sabotaged that organization. And when Phil Jackson got rid of him, that was the best thing the Knicks organization ever did, getting rid about Melo. Because Melo was a ball hog. He a sabotager. You understand what I'm saying? And he played politics because if he never would have did the Jeremy Lin, what he did to Jeremy Lin, that's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. Crazy to me. But hey, it is what it is, man. You know, I didn't understand that, man. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that. I remember that the press conference. You talk about the press conference, right, Sly? Yeah. But you know something though? When it's all said and done, I know Mark Jackson happy that the Knicks got the is in there. I know Ross Strickland happy because these dudes was there, you know, breaking the walls down for this next generation. Cause I always say, man, people gotta give where credit's due, right? That Patrick Ewing squad, when Patrick, because you gotta remember, Patrick Ewing wasn't the face of the Knicks until 87, right? 84 to 86, that was Bernard King's team, right? Bernard King was the face of the Knicks, right? When Bernard King left the Knicks, it became Patrick Ewing squad in the late 80s, right? So Patrick Ewing, it took him some time to get help. He done had everybody over there. Dominique Wilkins' brother, he had everybody. Everybody was there. You know what I'm saying? But um the funny part is that it took the Knicks a long time to get where it had to get to. You know what I'm saying? Because the Knicks had to go through Boston Celtics in the 80s. They had to go through the bad boy Pistons. Chicago was on the rise. Cleveland was on the rise, So they had a lot of competition in that Eastern Conference in the 80s. So when the 90s came, that was the Knicks era. The 90s was the Knicks all day, every day. They was Jordan's biggest rivals. Let's just keep it real. Now he from Brooklyn. Bernard came from Brooklyn. He from Fort Greene. He from Fort Greene. He from Fort Greene. But Bernard King, another New Yorker. The one thing I respect about the Knicks organization, they draft a lot of New Yorkers. A lot of New Yorkers play with the Knicks organization. That's one thing I could respect about the Knicks. They had people that was from the town playing for the town. So and that's why I say that it's only one New York team that we respect is the New York Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it come to baseball now, that's a different type of conversation, because the real New Yorkers, fuck with the Mets. The niggas that all with this Yankee shit. Let's just keep it real, man. The Yankees is the celebrity team. That's not the blue collar New Yorkers team. Okay, the Yankees is the team for the mainstream of America. That's just like when you talk about football, the New York Jets or the New York Giants. Mainstream America fucks with the New York Giants. The New York Jets is the real New York motherfucking squad. Always remember that. So the Brooklyn Nets is mainstream. You know what I'm saying? Now, don't get me wrong. I fuck with the Yankees. I fuck with the Yankees. Don't get it twisted. Like it was a point at a time that the Yankees was my motherfucking team at one point. I rolled with Derek Jeter, Derek Strawberry and all of them, you know. But at the end of the day, the Mets is still my motherfucking squad. I can't sit there in front on the Mets, man. Even though the Mets, it's gonna take a while for the Mets, but the Mets gonna come back. 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 I think the Mets, the Mets is not like the Yankees, bro. The Yankees choked. The Yankees choked. I don't care what nobody say. The Yankees is finished, bro. That's not the that's not the George Stein Brenner Mets, the Yankees. That's not. If you look at the Yankees of today, Aaron Judge choked against LA. That Yankee squad is trash. Now the Mets, the problem with the Mets is the same thing that's problem with with the Knicks, right? And I'm gonna say this again. The Knicks' biggest problem is they didn't have a chemistry team. The Mets' biggest problem is they need a better motherfucking Mets squad. Don't get it twisted. Yo, Sly, y'all niggas ain't gonna sit here in front on the Mets, bro. Y'all not gonna sit because the Yankees wasn't always the Yankee squad because the Yankees was in a fucking drought. After Reggie Jackson, the Yankees was in a fucking drought. The Mets, when they won in 86, the Mets had the city on their back. Okay. Now, when the Mets lost and they never got back to reclaim, the Yankees came back because what did the Yankees do? They got the best players from the Mets. Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden. Let's keep it real. Dwight Gooden, Darryl Strawberry was the ones that motherfucking carried that Yankee squad with Derek Jeter. Because they ain't been the same after Jeter left, man. Let's just keep it real, man. After Jeter left, they ain't been the same, bro. The Yankees have never won Jeter was just the greatest player they ever had, bro, on the Yankees. The captain. Let's keep it real. The captain was the best player they had on the Yankees. Aaron Judge is nowhere near the captain, Derek Jeter. He's nowhere near Jeter. Jeter's like a Reggie Jackson, man. Like when you great, my nigga, and you that great, there's only one of a kind. The team gonna always, you can't duplicate that. And that's just like what I said about the Knicks. Patrick Ewing was that great. The Nets, now I'm gonna keep it real. Brooklyn need to just get rid of the Brooklyn Nets and take that shit back to Jersey. Take that shit back to Jersey, man. Give Jersey back their squad, bro. Give Jersey back their team because the Nets had no business coming to Brooklyn at all. No, seriously, man. They belong to Jersey. They've been listen. If they wasn't going to keep them in Jersey, they should have took them back to Long Island, bro. Because that was the original. They was Long Island, then they was Jersey, bro. Why bring them to Brooklyn, nigga? Because Brooklyn Nets didn't make no fucking sense. Let's keep it real. Brooklyn Nets ain't make no sense. They ain't win nothing since they been in Brooklyn. They look at how the Knicks was looking for so many years. They ain't win nothing. They done had Paul Pierce over there. They done had Garnett over there. They done had motherfucking who else they had over there? They had KD, Kyrie Irving. They done had the who's who, and they still can't get the job done. They need to just take that shit back to where it belongs. That's just like when New Orleans was the Pelicans. Let's keep it real, right? Before they was the Pelicans, they was the Hornets, right? Like That didn't make no sense calling them niggas the Hornets. Take the Hornets back to motherfucking North Carolina where they belong. That's what they known as, the Charlotte motherfucking Hornets, not the fucking Bobcats. The Bobcats ain't make no motherfucking sense to me. They ain't make no motherfucking sense to me. Certain teams belong what it is, just like the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies belong to Canada. Take their ass back to motherfucking Canada. Keep it real. What if KD? I would have supported, but it's not like the Knicks though. Like we was here, we seen the Knicks lose the fucking Spurs, bro. Like we never seen the Brooklyn Nets. I seen New Jersey Nets play against the Lakers and lose. Kenyon Martin, that squad, Collins and all them. I seen that. But we ain't never seen these motherfuckers do anything. So Brooklyn Nets didn't make no sense. So when all these people was wearing the Brooklyn hats and bandwagon and net Brooklyn Nets and all that, oh yeah, Brooklyn gonna do it. That's something. That's just like these Knicks fans right now, man. Look at these Knicks fans right now, bro. None of these people is real Knicks fans at all, bro. All these people that be torn in Manhattan, that's tearing up stuff. Like, where was y'all at when the Knicks was going through the drought they was going through after 99? Y'all was not, we ain't hearing none of y'all dudes talking about we riding with a lot of y'all was Miami fans. Some of y'all was Laker fans. Some of y'all was Cleveland fans. Some of y'all was Golden State Warriors fans. Y'all was fans of every other team but the New York Knicks. I was yo son. I saw so many people out in Manhattan, and I saw so many people out there in crowds and packs. I'm like, I ain't never seen y'all dudes watch a Knicks game. Yo, when I used to be watching Knicks games, and I used to tell dudes, I'm watching, they be like, man, the Knicks ain't doing that, man. They losing, man. Yo, them niggas is bums. That's what they always used to say. And now all of a sudden, I'm seeing people wearing Knick jackets. I'm seeing people putting on Knick hats, wearing Knick jerseys again. I'm saying, I'm like, yo, where all these fans coming from? Where all these fans coming from? Because in 2010, when Melo was over there, y'all did the bandwagon, and then when y'all saw they wasn't winning, y'all went right to Miami. Everybody was Miami'd out. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, I was rocking with them all the time, bro. I was rocking with them all the time. See, the difference is I was rocking with them all the time. And that's why I tell people. Like I told people like this year, I said at the beginning of the year when the season started, I said, yo, the Knicks is going to win. I told dudes that. I said, whoever they play against, I said, and you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? I told my cousin this on the phone, bro. I told my cousin this on the phone. I said, yo, Knicks and Spurs. He like, yo, Knicks and Spurs. He said, yo, the Knicks ain't going in no doggone the championship, bro. He said, yo, it's going to be either OKC, the Spurs, or it's going to be Cleveland or Philly, right? And I told him, nah, you bugging. I said, yo, it's going to be the Knicks and the Spurs. And then boom, what we got? The Knicks and the Spurs. They won the cup. And they won it. I said last year when they played in the finals, when they played in the conference finals last year, I said they was gonna go all the way. Said that. You know what I'm saying? I said that. I said when they went all the way, I said they gonna win. I knew just by how they was playing, they was gonna get it all the way. But a lot of people didn't really look at it that way because the Knicks to a lot of people was a disappointment in New York. People thought the Knicks was like the choke artists. You know what I'm saying? Because you gotta look, bro. The disappointment that the Knicks did for so many years to people in New York, from people that from the 80s era to the 90s era to the 2000s to the 2010s, people were so disappointed in the Knicks, they didn't have no belief system in the Knicks. So a lot of diehards was fucking with other teams. You hear people say it all the time. They be like, yo, son, I wasn't fucking with the Knicks, man. I said, yo, after them niggas traded Patrick, my nigga, I wasn't fucking with them niggas. Cause you got a lot of niggas that was mad with the Knicks organization after they traded Patrick to fucking Supersonics, bro. You know? That's a fact. That's a fact. You know? Yeah. Bronson got hurt. Bronson got hurt. Yo, super. I never said I never fuck with the Knicks, bro. I told you. Knicks is my top five team. I never said I never fuck with the Knicks. I've always looked at it as if the era, and I said this, if the Knicks ever got a player, because I never was on a belief system that the Knicks needed a LeBron. They never needed a LeBron. They never needed a star over there. They just needed the right players around the system. I never clowned the Knicks. I just was disappointed in the Knicks because yo, you gotta realize something, Super. The Knicks never got right, bro. Melo fucked up that organization just like Marbury, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not like these motherfuckers. I'm gonna go to the parade. I got my Knicks hat in the living room. I'm gonna go to the parade. I'm gonna put my Knicks snapback on and I'm gonna go straight to that parade and support the Knicks. I got like two or three Knicks snapbacks. I'm gonna wear my Knicks snapback and I'm gonna go to the parade and show love. Don't get it twisted. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be out there and support the Knicks. You heard? Nah, I ain't never bought a New York. I ain't never bought a Brooklyn Nets. Never. Never. I never cared for Brooklyn Nets. I don't know. I just never to me personally, bro, I always looked at the Nets as New Jersey Nets. I never looked at them as New York Knicks, New York Brooklyn Nets. I just never I couldn't respect that, bro, because like and I go to the Barclays. When I go to the Barclays, I'm going to a concert, bro. I've been invited to go to the games, and I never wanted to go to the games, bro. I just never wanted to go see them, bro. You know? It's just what it is. I just me personally, I just don't like that title of that squad. Like Brooklyn Nets. You know what I'm saying? I understand Brooklyn want a team. They ain't have a team, but come on, bro. It's just nah, it's serious. Like Terry, it's just you can't respect that Brooklyn Nets shit, Terry, because it's like we know the Nets as New Jersey Nets. I just thought they should have never moved that team out of New Jersey. I always was in the belief system that the people of Jersey, it belongs to them, the Nets. That was their team for decades. Why would you move a team that was their team for decades? It just didn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the Mets, who originally was a Harlem team. Now I know, like if you look at the Mets before the Mets got the Queens, they was in the Polo Grounds in Harlem on 155th, and then when they left Harlem to come to um New York City, you know what I'm saying, it's a different thing. But when you look at the Brooklyn Nets, it just didn't make no sense, bro. Like they have a history on Long Island. So if they did a Long Island Nets, that made more sense because they had a history there. You know, Dr. J played for the Long Island Nets. You understand what I'm saying? In Nassau Coliseum, he played for the Long Island Nets. So that makes more sense than fucking Brooklyn Nets, where they have no fucking history or nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to go back to what I was saying about these bandwagon fans. Uh, I just want to understand this, right? Because it's just like with Golden State Warriors, right? Like a lot of people wasn't watching Golden State Warriors when it was Monte Ellis and Steph Curry, right? I was watching Golden State Warriors before Clay and Curry, when it was Monte, Curry, Steven Jackson, um, Baron Davis, when Mark Jackson was really neutralizing them and was starting up that system that would later become the Splash Brothers system, right? And when I saw how people was dick riding the Golden State Warriors, and they only know Clay and Curry. They didn't know Curry and Ellis because that was the original Splash Brothers. If you don't know Curry and Ellis, then you wasn't following the Golden State Warriors. You understand what I'm saying? Me, I'm a lover of basketball, so I follow teams. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not a bandwagon fan, bro. I'm a lover of the sport, and I love certain players. I don't go with that. You know what I'm saying? When you're a lover of a sport, you're gonna always have a team. Like I tell people, my team is always gonna be the Spurs. I just love the Spurs because they was one of the best teams in the NBA. That was always my squad. But at the end of the day, though, like you asked me my top five teams in the NBA, the Knicks is in my top five with the Lakers, with the Celtics, you know what I'm saying, with the Spurs. And then if you want to put like a newer team, I will put the Warriors in there just because of the history of the Warriors. And we talking about the history of, before, Curry and them, we could go back to when Chris Webber was over there and Latrell Sprewell, or we can go before them, Mitch Richmond. And let me say this about the Warriors, right? You know what I'm saying? Let me say this about the Warriors, because this is another thing about the Warriors that a lot of people don't understand. The Warriors ain't win a championship, and just like with the Knicks, they had a drought. The Warriors drought was from 1974, 1975, right? And they didn't win a championship until like during the Rick Barry era, right? The Rick Barry era. In Sacramento was definitely Chris Webber's best years. That was the years where he basically found himself because Chris Webber, playing with the Bullets, playing with Golden State Warriors, he ain't find his rhythm until he went to Sacramento Kings. And who was the coach at that time? Was it George Karl? George Karl was the coach at that time, right? I think it was George Karl, if I'm not mistaken. It's been so long. That's 20 some years ago. I'm trying to remember who's the coach over there. I think it was George Karl, but he didn't find his rhythm until he went over there to Sacramento Kings. And Sacramento is a great team. Don't get it twisted. Mike Brown went over there and did his thing over there. Yo, that's what I'm saying, bro. It's the bandwagon because Taylor Swift. When the fuck Taylor Swift been a Knicks fan? You know what I'm saying? The only real Knicks fan that the real Knicks fans, the real Knicks fans is Fat Joe. I always used to see Fat Joe at the game. Tracy Morgan, Spike Lee, Ben Stiller, uh, Shorty from Law and Order SVU, Jerry Seinfeld. Like those is real Knicks fans. Like I remember watching the Knicks games back in the days, and I used to see them always at the Knicks game. But Taylor Swift, I've never seen at a Knicks game. Jay Z, never seen him at a motherfucking Knicks game at all. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these celebrities that we seeing coming through the Knicks games, I'm like, never seen these motherfuckers at the Knicks games. But Spike Lee, he's always been at the Knicks game, front rowing it. And like I said, Jerry Seinfeld, Ben Stiller, Tracy Morgan. I always seen Tracy Morgan. Fat Joe, I would see him time and time at the Knicks game. But everybody else that I'm seeing coming through, I've never seen these motherfuckers at Knicks games at all. And she from Jersey. She not even a Knicks. She's a Sixers fan anyway. So that I didn't understand that. Because a lot of Jersey people became Sixers fans after the Nets left. Yeah, yeah, Spike always been there. Spike been there for years. Spike ain't never left. Tracy Morgan is a Knicks fan, diehard. Jerry Seinfeld is a Knicks fan, diehard. Jerry Seinfeld, I always used to see Jerry Seinfeld in the 90s, 2000s at the Knicks game. Always used to see him. Always used to see him. Always used to see Ben Stiller at the Knicks game back in the days. But all these other people that I'm seeing at the Knicks game, I'm like, oh, y'all niggas ain't never been at no Knicks game, bro. Y'all are some fake ass Knicks fans. Stop it. Stop it. A lot of people I was seeing at the Knicks game, I'm like, yo, y'all niggas was never at Knicks games like that. When all y'all became Knicks fans? Because y'all wasn't Knicks fans back in the days. If you wasn't front rowing it when the Knicks was losing, like Spike and fucking Tracy Morgan is there whether the Knicks lose or win. Seriously. A lot of these other people, they come in and they really not Knicks fans. Not at all. But Spike is the mascot of the Knicks, bro. Spike is the Jack Nicholson of the Knicks. You know how Jack Nicholson is the Lakers' biggest fan? Spike Lee is the Jack Nicholson of the New York Knicks. Jack Nicholson is always at a Lakers game. I don't know about now. I haven't seen him since Kobe left, but Jack Nicholson was the guy. If you watch a Lakers game, Jack Nicholson is always there. Diehard Lakers fan, Jack Nicholson. Spike Lee was our Jack Nicholson in New York. Spike is always there. Win or lose, Spike is always there. That's why I said, man. Everybody say they're a Knicks fan. Y'all niggas ain't real Knicks fans, man. If y'all didn't go through when Knicks lost, when Knicks won, if y'all wasn't there when the Knicks was losing and winning, and y'all all of a sudden, that's why I'm not getting how all these niggas going crazy like they going crazy now. Cause y'all niggas wasn't going crazy when the Knicks was losing, bro. I ain't never seen so much watch parties now for the Knicks, bro. All the years the Knicks been playing, they ain't never had no watch parties like that, bro. Y'all peep that? All the years the Knicks been playing, y'all ain't never seen no watch parties like they got now, bro. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo, Reggie used to do this. It's Reggie. That's Reggie. Every time he used to play the Knicks and he used to whoop the Knicks, he'd be like this. Yo, Spike and him used to go at it, bro. I'm glad him and Spike cool. But back in the days, him and Spike used to go at it. That nigga Spike hated Reggie Miller, son. And New York hated Reggie. We hated Reggie. But we loved him for his game because that nigga was so fucking nice. I can't even lie. That nigga three-pointer was clutch, but he was so nice with it. Yeah, listen, if you ain't had, I had a Knicks fleece sweater. I had a Knicks starter jacket. I had a Knicks beanie. I was wearing Knicks apparel back in the days. I gotta find some pictures of me with my Knicks fleece sweater. If you wasn't wearing Knicks apparel back in the days, like in the 90s, when the Knicks was the Knicks, if you wasn't a Patrick Ewing Knicks fan, or you wasn't a Bernard King Knicks fan, or you wasn't a Walt Clyde Frazier, Earl Monroe Knicks fan, you ain't a real Knicks fan, man. You ain't a real Knicks fan, man. You wasn't rocking in them eras of the Knicks, bro. You ain't a real Knicks fan, bro. Sorry. You're not a real Knicks fan. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear you started becoming a Knicks fan during the Stephon Marbury era, or you was a Knicks fan during the fucking Carmelo era, because them eras don't count. I'm a Knicks fan of the era that really counted, that Patrick Ewing era. That's a real Knicks fan era. Walt Clyde Frazier era, Bernard King era. Those are like the real Knicks eras. These eras that niggas be saying they became Knicks fans, I'll be like, oh, that ain't no real Knicks era. And if you tell them you became a fan during the Bronson era, you ain't a real Knicks fan. And shout out to Bronson and shout out the cat, but I'm just being honest, bro. You gotta be a Knicks fan when it mattered, bro. When it fucking mattered, bro. When it fucking mattered, bro. When it was hard for the Knicks to get over the hump against the fucking Detroit Pistons, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, shit, niggas be talking, man. But the fact, it was a point, yo, niggas ain't want to. It was a point, niggas ain't want to be drafted to the Knicks at one point, man. Nah, I told you I'm a Patrick Ewing. I'm a Patrick Ewing era fan. I'm not a Bernard King fan era. My cousins is a Bernard King fan era. They Bernard King. You know, my uncles and them, they was, and my older cousins, they was Ward Clyde Frazier fans. You know what I'm saying? And my big cousin, he called me all the time. He be like, "Yo, you watching the Knicks?" 'Cause he a Ward Clyde Frazier, Willis Reed, you know what I'm saying? Earl of Pearl era Knicks fan. And then my older cousins and my uncles and all them, they like motherfucking they like what I say. They the fans of the Knicks of when it was the, I would say, the Bernard King era. You know what I'm saying? And that was the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, you know. I'm Patrick Ewing era. You know, Marcus Camby, you know, that Charles Oakley, you know, that's my era of the Knicks. I tell people I'm a Patrick Ewing nigga, you know. I was hurt when Patrick Ewing left the Knicks. I ain't gonna lie, because I used to like watching Patrick Ewing as a kid. I was hurt when they reported that on the news. That was the saddest day ever in basketball history. They had lost to the Pacers, and when they came back that draft, and they said, "Yo, Patrick Ewing is going to fucking Supersonics," bro. That hurt the whole New York, bro. And then when I watched Stephon Marbury get over there, and when Latrell Sprewell got drafted in like '03, '04, I was super hurt when Latrell got drafted, bro. Because I really didn't want Latrell Sprewell to leave, bro. I was a big Latrell Sprewell fan, man. They let that nigga go, and then they got Marbury, and then them niggas just stunk, bro. And I like Nate Robinson. Don't get it twisted. I like Nate Robinson, but bro, you can't let no nigga like Latrell Sprewell go to Minnesota, bro. Come on, man. They let him go to Minnesota, bro. That was the worstest thing the Knicks ever did, bro. Let Latrell Sprewell go to Minnesota. Let fucking Ewing go to motherfucking Supersonics. Like, that fucked up the Knicks at all, bro. You know, that was Dolan. That was Dolan doing that bullshit. Trying to get a big name and knowing that everybody can't play on that Knicks season, bro. You got a good team, bro. You don't need a big name. The Knicks didn't need big names, bro. What made the Knicks great was that they wasn't a team made for big names. They was a team made for players to be great. They're like a Spurs type of team. You see, the Spurs didn't have big stars. You know what I'm saying? They carried that squad with just who they had. The Lakers wasn't even a big star team. Kobe became a star after when Phil Jackson got over there. But Kobe wasn't no star. Kobe was a role player. His whole first years, he was a role player. And that's what made the Lakers great. The only star that they had that was big at that time was Shaq. They didn't have stars. So when a team is built off of like motherfuckers that's homegrown, that's what makes a team. That's why I always go for the underdog squads because I've never been for the teams that, yo, they drafting this player or they trade this player and they get the biggest nigga. Like I never liked it, that shit. Like when LeBron and Melo came in the league with all that star shit, that's what killed the NBA for me, bro. Because they was on some really. It started with Darius Miles and what's my boy from Camden? It started with him too, but it really started in the Darius Miles era. And like from Darius Miles on to LeBron, because LeBron was on steroids, Lanny Cook and all them. But Lanny Cook didn't get to the NBA because he had a problem. He liked to party so much. So when LeBron came in, them niggas changed it because they was in a draft class, and these is niggas coming, LeBron coming fresh out of high school, you know, and fucking Melo coming fresh out of high school. He didn't even do a long time in college, right? He didn't even I don't even think he was in college that long. So they coming in there with a name, LeBron James, you know, from Cleveland. Carmelo Anthony. These is like the face of the fucking draft class, right? And that's what killed the NBA when they started with all that star shit. When you look at the 96 class, what made the 96 class so great, yeah, they was stars, but it wasn't to the point where the star level they would say, oh, these niggas about to be the next face of the NBA, they gonna win. They had LeBron Peck to be the next Michael Jordan. The nigga had the 23, the number 23, he had the sneaker deal, and that's what fucked up the game, bro. That's what fucked up the game. When Kobe and KG and T Mac came in the league, and even Moses Malone, they wasn't. It wasn't on the level of them dudes. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't on the level of how LeBron and Melo came in the game, bro. That ruined it. That ruined the league, bro. That ruined the league. That ruined the league to the point where the league ain't never recovered after that because it is now they seeing like with Adam Silver, he's seeing now that, you know, I don't need stars. Adam Silver did something that David Stern didn't do. It's going back to the fundamentals of what basketball was. Not a game based off of superstars, based off of talent, and based off how teams are supposed to work. You know what I'm saying? When these dudes came in the league, like I said, in that 2000s, it started to be based off of star appeal, endorsement deals, sneaker deals. You know what I'm saying? Even though dudes was getting sneaker deals, but they wasn't getting sneaker deals fresh out the league, fresh in the league. You know what I'm saying? It was very rare that a dude got, and if you did get a sneaker deal, you was the guy. No, AI was a star. Bubba Chuck was a star, but it wasn't as like I said, it wasn't like how these dudes was stars. You gotta look at that 2003 class, right? And then look after. None of those dudes lived up to the hype that the class of 96 lived up to, right? Nobody lived up to the hype, but that was 2 years. LeBron got a sneaker deal in his first year. He didn't get it in the second year. He got his sneakers in the first year. Melo got his in the first year. They both got their sneaker deal in the first year. Sebastian Telfair got his sneaker in the first year. Dwight Howard, they all got their sneakers in the first year. So it wasn't like how it took a dude in his second year to get all this stuff. But he didn't live up to the hype because LeBron, you remember, LeBron didn't get to where he got to until he was in the game like almost 9, 10 years. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't get his first ring until like what year 8, year 7, year 7. He got his first ring. He had already been in the league. You understand what I'm saying? And that's when he got his ring. But you got dudes like who I could name, Magic Johnson, perfect example. He got his first ring first year in the league. Let's keep it real. Magic Johnson got his ring his first year in the league. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't even in the league that long. He got his first ring. Coming out of college. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of athletes, bro, that lived up to what they were saying. The hype was that he was going to be the face of the company. And I think that was disrespectful to Kobe at the time because Kobe was the face of the company because Kobe was that guy, you know. But you got to remember why it took Jordan 7 years though, Sly. It took Jordan 7 years because he was going up against a Boston Celtics. You got to remember the '80s was stacked, bro. You had Boston Celtics, you had Detroit Pistons, right? And you had Cleveland, you had all these teams. It wasn't like it was, oh, you could just steamroll these squads. Like you got Isaiah, he hungry. You got, you know, Boston Celtics, Larry Bird and them, they hungry. So Jordan had competition, bro. It wasn't an easy walk in the park. It wasn't an easy walk in the park, you know? Rodman was a beast, man. Let me tell you something about Rodman, son. Rodman was old, son. Man was old when he won his championship. He was he was old, bro. Rodman was like he was like 27, 28, bro. They said when he got into the league, he was like 27, 28 years old, bro. He older than Jordan. I didn't even know he was that older than Jordan, bro. But he was like 26, 27. He was like the oldest rookie in the game, bro. But he was nice though. He was nice though. Who did James have on the Cavs team? He didn't really have anybody on the team. You got to remember, he in his that first squad, he didn't have nobody on that team. But the second, the third team that he had more people over there. So he got Ben Wallace later. He got Shaq over there. He had my boy, what's my boy Keisha Cole ex husband Gibson was over there. He had a lot of players over there, but he didn't have players that he had when he went to Miami. He had a Wade. He ain't had none of that. Hey man, I tell people, man, NBA is the NBA, man. You gonna like who you like and you gonna love who you love. Me personally, I'm a fan of who I'm a fan of, but I always give the Knicks their credit, bro. You know, LeBron, in my opinion, Bill is overhyped and he's overrated. Just off the strength of yeah, but he dragged it. But you gotta look, that was Mike Brown. Fly. Who was the coach of that squad? Wasn't Mike Brown the coach of that squad? It was Mike Brown's system that led them to the motherfucking finals. Without a Mike Brown, LeBron would have never been in the NBA finals. So you got to give Mike Brown his credit. It's the coaching. It wasn't LeBron talent. LeBron didn't do it on his own. If you got a coach, but LeBron is like a mellow, bro. Those type of players like LeBron, like Carmelo, you can't coach those type of players because they're not receptive of team playing and they're not receptive of a coach that has a system. That's why if you look, every coach that LeBron has had, he's had them fired because he's not used to. Miami was the only team where he couldn't play those games. And that's why he left Miami. Because if you look, Pat Riley run the show over there. Eric Spoelstra is Pat Riley coach. Pat Riley is Eric Spoelstra is the mouthpiece. Pat Riley's behind the scenes dictating the plays. That's why they won those two rings. It wasn't because of Eric Spoelstra. It was because of Pat Riley still coaching behind the scenes. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's one thing about Pat Riley. Pat Riley is about legacy. He's like a Phil Jackson, bro. His system is his system. It's his way or the highway. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of players can't play in a Pat Riley system. A lot of players can't play in a Phil Jackson system because they're not those type of coaches that's gonna go for um those type of games, bro. You know, when Shaq got over there, Shaq was playing with Phil Jackson 2.0. Pat is no different than Phil Jackson. Same type of same type of coach, same type of strategy, same type of play. That's just what it is. And the NBA knows that. Yeah, the triangle system. Yeah, the triangle system, but the triangle system it worked for Kobe and Jordan because they put their differences aside and they compromised under Phil Jackson's system. And then you got to look at Magic Johnson and playing under Pat Riley's system, right? Because Pat Riley, when he went over there, he turned it up for the Lakers and took them to the promised land. Remember, Phil Jackson and Pat Riley was both replacement coaches. You understand what I'm saying? Pat Riley was an original coach for the Lakers, and Phil Jackson was an original coach of the Lakers. No, or the Bulls, I mean. So they came over there, they changed the fundamentals of the game, and that led to championship winnings. Just being honest, man. And that's how the NBA is, man. That's how the NBA is, man. But yeah, man, y'all already know what it is, man. It's your boy Bullets Gotti, man. I just wanted to come over here and rap with y'all about, the game and all that, and talk about the NBA and talk about what's going on. And like I said, man, for all the people that's out there supporting the Knicks, man, support the Knicks in peace, man. Don't go out there and tear shit up. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy the Knicks is in the championship. I'm happy that they in the NBA finals. I'm happy that they may win and we may get a parade, but don't tear up the city being no fake fucking winners, bro. Come on, man. Don't be no fake fucking bandwagon fans beating up Spurs fans, beating up people. Don't do that. Don't do that because the Spurs fans ain't doing that to us. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really like that. I don't really like that they doing that because a lot of these people don't even be real Knicks fans, bro. These dudes is they just a bunch of dick riders. I'm just being honest. Like, they see a New York team winning, and then everybody want to jump on a bandwagon. They did that with the Giants. They did that with the Yankees, and niggas don't even be real fans, bro. They don't be real fans. Like if you wasn't, like I said, if you wasn't rocking with the Knicks when Patrick Ewing was playing, or you wasn't rocking when Bernard King was playing, or you wasn't rocking when Clyde Frazier was playing, and you started fucking with the Knicks now when the Bronson era or Melo or Marbury, and you wasn't really fucking with the Knicks when the Knicks was in their prime. I fuck with the Knicks when the Knicks had Ewing and Latrell Sprewell and dudes like that. Once they let those players go, once those players got traded and the Knicks went downhill, you know, when they drafted all of them, traded them, I mean, when they traded all of them and the Knicks went downhill and it was onto a drought, a lot of y'all wasn't rocking with the Knicks. A lot of y'all was bandwagon LeBron James and talking about LeBron need to come to New York. Now that we got a solid team, we don't need no LeBron. We don't need no stars. They got Bronson. They got Cat. That's the best squad over there. Yeah. Yeah, they just had won a championship. But look, Pat Riley was like Phil Jackson when he came to the Lakers. Rich, let's keep it real. Pat Riley, right? Magic didn't like Pat Riley and didn't like his system because Pat Riley was an assistant coach, right? But you know what was so great because Phil Jackson was an assistant coach for the Bulls, right? But you know what was so great about Phil Jackson and Pat Riley is that they saw the system and they adapt to it. And look what happened with the Lakers. Look what happened with the Bulls. They won. And just like with the Knicks got a Mike Brown over there. They adapt the Mike Brown system and they winning. So something, something is right when you got the right players and the right pieces to move. These teams ain't gonna do. Yeah, the Knicks, it might be the Knicks in five, or it might be the Knicks in six. But I think the Knicks is gonna take it. I think it's well overdue. Shout out to the Knicks. I definitely think they should take it. And it is what it is, man. Salute.